Stop before you scroll past this. The person God is warning you about has a name that begins with the letter J. And a face just appeared in your mind before I even finished that sentence. Chosen one, do not dismiss what just happened. You did not choose that face. It surfaced on its own, from a place inside you that has been trying to get your attention for months. That place has a purpose. And tonight, for the first time in a long time, you are going to hear what it has been trying to say. Somewhere in the last few weeks, you walked away from a conversation with this person feeling smaller than when you arrived. You could not explain it. Nothing cruel was said. Nothing you could point to, but something in you tightened. And later, at the sink, in the car, or lying awake at some strange hour after midnight, you replayed their words and felt that quiet alarm go off again. That alarm is the reason this message found you tonight, not the algorithmless chance of it, the timing of it. You needed to hear this before the next conversation with that person, and heaven knew it. Here is what I need you to understand, because this is not going where you think it is going. This is not a message teaching you to fear a person. This is not permission to become suspicious of everyone you love. By the end, you will understand the real mechanism behind this warning. You will see why the interference assigned against your calling almost never attacks from a distance, and why it always borrows the closest seat at your table. You will feel something you have not felt in a long time. The relief of realizing your instinct about this person was never paranoia. It was working exactly as designed. And you will walk away with 5 specific signs that reveal whether someone is standing in what I call the Judas position in your life, and the exact way to close the door they have been using. Without drama, without confrontation, without becoming someone you are not. But hear this clearly, because it changes everything that follows. The danger was never really that person. The danger is a door inside you that has been standing unlocked, and their presence in your life is how God is showing you where that door is. This warning is not against you. It is for you. Heaven does not expose what it does not intend to heal. You are closer to a threshold than you realize. And it is precisely because you are close that this particular person has drifted so near to your center right now. That is not a coincidence. That is a pattern as old as Scripture. So, stay with me, because the moment you see the door, you will understand every delay, every drained morning, every dream that stalled just before it landed. Let me begin with the part of this that nobody talks about, because it is the part you have been living. The exhaustion that does not match your schedule. You sleep, but you wake up tired. You rest, but the rest does not land. And if you trace it honestly, the tiredness is not spread evenly across your week. It clusters. It gathers around certain rooms, certain phone calls, certain names. There is a specific kind of drain that follows contact with a specific kind of person. It does not feel like an argument. It feels like a leak. You arrive at the conversation with a full tank, and you leave wondering where it all went. You did not fight. You did not even disagree. And yet something left you in that exchange, and both of you know which direction it flowed. Doctors will tell you that stress does this, and they are not wrong. But you have noticed something stress cannot explain. The drain is selective. Some people leave you fuller than they found you. You hang up the phone, and you feel taller. And some people, one person in particular, leaves you rehearsing your own words for hours, wondering if you said too much, wondering why you feel guilty when you did nothing wrong. Chosen one, I want to give you a piece of this puzzle right now, in the first minutes, because you have waited long enough for someone to say it plainly. That selective drain is not a mood. It is not your imagination. It is information. Your spirit has been running a diagnostic on every relationship in your life, quietly, beneath your awareness, since before you could speak. And with this one person, the diagnostic keeps returning the same result. The reason you could never act on it is that the result arrives without words. It comes as a tightening in your chest, a reluctance you cannot justify, a hesitation. Before you opened their messages, you were taught to call that rudeness. You were taught to call it judgment, or distance, or coldness. So you overrode it. Again and again, politely, faithfully, you overrode the very system that was protecting you. And here is the first relief I can offer you tonight. The system still works. It never stopped working. Everything you needed to see, some part of you already saw. That is why the face appeared before I finished my first sentence. We are not going to install something new in you tonight. We are going to reopen something that was closed. And that distinction will matter more than you can imagine before this message ends. If what I just described is landing somewhere specific in you, if a certain hallway or dinner table or phone screen came to mind, I want you to mark this moment. Go to the comments and type the words, "The alarm was real." Not for me, for you. Because there is a difference between hearing a truth and answering it, and the people who answer are the ones this message was routed to. Now let me tell you why your instinct got overruled for so long. Because this is where the story stops being about Jay and starts being about you. Not in the way that blames you, in the way that finally explains you. You were a different creature as a child. Before anyone trained you, you knew things you had no way of knowing. You felt the weather of a room before a single word was spoken. You knew which adults were safe and which ones smiled with only half their face. Nobody taught you this. You arrived with it. It was standard equipment on the model of human being that you are. Think back honestly, and you will find the receipts. The visitor everyone adored, but you refused to hug. The family friend you avoided without being able to say why. And years later, the truth about them surfaced, and nobody remembered that you had known first. The playground friendship you ended abruptly, and only much later did the reason become visible to everyone else. That was not childhood strangeness. That was a radar. A precise, fast, wordless instrument that read intentions the way your eyes read light. Every human is born with some measure of it, but some are born with an unusual amount, calibrated unusually fine. And if you have listened this far, if a warning about a single letter pulled you in and held you here, you are almost certainly one of them. So what happened? Where did the radar go? It did not break. It was trained into silence. Every time you flinched from someone and an adult said, "Be nice," the radar learned that its readings were rude. Every time you voiced a feeling about a person and were told you were being dramatic, the radar learned to keep its findings to itself. Politeness, obligation, and fear of seeming unkind built a soundproof wall around the one instrument designed to protect your calling. And the radar did not go silent all at once. It compromised. It stopped speaking in words and retreated into the body. That is why your warnings now arrive as physical sensations instead of clear knowing. The chest that tightens, the stomach that drops when a certain name lights up your phone, the exhaustion after certain visits. The radar still files every report. You just lost the language it was written in. Now watch how this connects to the warning you clicked on, because this is the hinge of everything. A person can only occupy the Judas position in your life if your radar has been overridden regarding them. The position requires proximity, and proximity requires clearance. Somewhere along the way, this person was flagged, and the flag was dismissed. Not by your spirit, by your training. That is the unlocked door I mentioned. Hold that phrase loosely for now, because when we come back to it, I am going to show you the mechanism in full, and I promise you it explains more than this one relationship. It explains patterns in your family line. It explains why certain seasons of your life stalled at the exact moment they should have accelerated. And it explains why the warning came now and not a year ago. Because timing is the part of this that should give you chills, in the holy sense. Warnings of this kind are not distributed evenly across a life. They cluster at thresholds. Scripture is strangely consistent about this. The interference intensifies not when a person is wandering, but when a person is arriving. Nobody ambushes an empty road. Ambushes are set on the road that leads somewhere. So the very fact that this warning reached you tonight, in this season, is itself a message inside the message. Something in your life is closer to landing than it has ever been. You have felt it, even if you have been afraid to say it out loud. The restlessness, the sense of an approaching shift, the strange urgency underneath ordinary days. Heaven does not send guards to an empty vault. And that reframes the person we are speaking of, does it not? Their drift toward your center in this exact season is not random social weather. Proximity is a strategy. I will say that again, because it is the sentence most people need to hear twice. Proximity is a strategy. The question is not whether someone is near you. The question is what their nearness is positioned to reach. Before we go further, I need to make one thing unmistakably clear, and I need you to receive it in the spirit it is given. This message will never ask you to hate the person whose face appeared. It will not even ask you to confront them. The pattern we are about to study is bigger than any one man or woman, and the person carrying it is often unaware of what moves through them. Our work tonight is not judgment, it is sight. Because here is what I know about you, and I say this with reverence. You have prayed about this relationship, maybe not in formal words, but in that wordless reaching that happens when something in your life will not resolve. You have asked, in one language or another, why does this keep happening? Why do I feel this way around them? Why do I keep shrinking? Tonight is not an accident. Tonight is the answer arriving. So here is the map of where we are going together. First, I am going to show you the ancient pattern behind the letter J, and why the closest seat is always the one to watch. Then I am going to hand you the 5 signs, one by one, so specific that by the third one you will know exactly what you are dealing with. Then we will go through the door, the one inside you, and what you find there will change how you see every relationship you have ever had. But before we cross into that territory, I want to slow down on something I said a moment ago, because I moved past it too quickly, and it deserves your full attention. I said that some part of you already saw everything you needed to see. Let me prove it to you, with your own memories as the evidence. Go back to the first month you knew this person, not the version of them you know now. The first month. There was a moment, early, small, easy to dismiss, when something in you paused. Maybe it was the way they spoke about someone who was not in the room. Maybe it was a joke that had a blade hidden inside it. Maybe it was how quickly they wanted access to the private rooms of your life, your fears, your plans, your history. You noticed it. I know you noticed it, because people like you notice everything. And then you did what you were trained to do. You explained it away. You told yourself, everyone has rough edges. You told yourself you were being too sensitive, which is the exact phrase the world uses to disarm people whose sensitivity is actually equipment. That early moment was the radar firing at full strength, before familiarity muffled it. First readings are the cleanest readings, and here is a truth that will serve you for the rest of your life. The radar speaks loudest at the doorway, before the person has fully entered. That is why Scripture keeps using the language of gates and watchmen. Discernment was always meant to stand at the entrance, not sweep up after the damage. Now, I am aware that some of you listening are already fighting this message. A voice in you is saying, "But I love this person. They have done good things for me. They were there when others were not." And I want to honor that voice, because it comes from the best part of you, the part that refuses to reduce a whole human being to a warning. So let me be precise about what this warning is and is not. Nobody is asking you to declare this person evil. The pattern we are studying does not require them to be a villain. It only requires them to be positioned. There is a difference between a person and a position, and that difference is the entire key to this message. A person can love you in their own way and still be standing in a doorway that must not remain open. And some of you are carrying the opposite fight. The name came to you instantly, with a certainty that almost frightened you, and now you feel guilty for how certain you are. You have been asking, what kind of believer am I to think this about someone close to me? Hear me. That certainty is not cruelty. In a world where deception is real, the refusal to see is not kindness. It is surrender, dressed up as kindness. There is one more group I have to speak to before we go on, because heaven is thorough. A few of you listening did not think of someone else at all. A few of you felt a colder question rise. What if the J is me? What if I have been that presence in the life of someone I love? If that question touched you, do not run from it. The fact that you can even ask it places you outside the pattern, because the pattern survives on blindness. Stay until the end, and you will find that the same door we are going to close can also be the door you stop standing in. This is the moment where I need you to make a quiet decision, because everything from here deepens. If you were only curious about a letter, this is where curiosity has taken you as far as it can. But if something in your chest has been confirming sentence after sentence, if you have already seen a hallway, a kitchen, a phone screen, a face, then you are not here by accident, and you know it. The ones who are meant for this message always know by this point. It is never the argument that convinces them, it is the recognition. The feeling of hearing words describe a weight you thought was invisible. That recognition is your invitation, not from me. I am only the messenger on the porch. The invitation is from the one who arranged for these words and your ears to meet on this exact night of your life. So here is the map of where we are going together, and I want you to hold it, because a map keeps you steady when the terrain gets personal. First, I will show you the ancient pattern behind the letter J, the pattern of the closest seat, and you will see why this has never been about one alphabet letter, but about a position that repeats in every generation. Then I will hand you the 5 signs, one by one, each sharper than the last, and by the 3rd sign you will know exactly what you are dealing with. And then, when you are ready, we will go through the door, the one inside you, the one that was left unlocked so long ago that you forgot it was a door at all. On the other side of it, you are going to find the reason your seasons stall, the reason your rest does not restore you, and the reason a warning had to interrupt your night to get your attention. You will also find something else there, something the interference has worked very hard to keep you from ever seeing. I will not name it yet, but when you see it, you will understand why they needed you distracted. Take a breath with me before we cross, because from here on, this stops being a message you listen to and becomes a mirror you stand in front of. You have carried this question alone for long enough. Tonight, that ends. The ancient pattern. I promised I would show it to you, and there is only one place to begin. A borrowed room in Jerusalem, 2,000 years ago, on the last night before the cross. Picture the table, not the painting you have seen, with everyone lined up on one side like a photograph. The real arrangement. Low tables, men reclining, leaning on elbows, close enough to share bread from the same dish. In that arrangement, the seats had meaning. The seat of honor was not across the room from the host. It was beside him, close enough to whisper, close enough to receive a morsel of bread directly from his hand. Now answer this question, and let it land slowly. On the worst night in human history, where was the betrayer sitting? Not by the door, not at the far end. John had to lean back against Jesus just to ask which one of them it was, and the answer was given quietly, with a piece of bread, passed to a man within reach of his arm. The one carrying the handover was seated in the place of trust. We call this the Judas position. Not a person, a position. The seat closest to your table that has access without alignment. Mark those 2 words, because they are the axis this entire message turns on. Access, alignment. When both are present, you have a covenant relationship, and those people are the wealth of your life. When access exists without alignment, you have an open channel running from your most protected places to purposes that are not your own. And notice what the position required. Judas was not a stranger. He had walked the roads, seen the miracles, carried the money bag. He was trusted with the treasury. The position is never held by an obvious enemy, because obvious enemies are never given the seat. The position can only be held by someone your own hand has welcomed. There is a word in the old language that will change how you see this whole story. The Gospels almost never call what Judas did an attack. The word used again and again is paradidomai. It means to hand over, to deliver something from one set of hands into another. Judas did not wound anyone in that garden. He simply walked ahead of the soldiers and handed over a location, a routine, a rhythm of prayer that he had been close enough to learn. Sit with that, because it rearranges everything. The interference did not need violence from him. It needed information. It needed his access. The kiss in the garden was not rage. It was identification. This is the one you want. The closest seat did what only the closest seat can do. It converted intimacy into intelligence. Now bring this home to your own life, because you did not click on this message for a history lesson. You clicked because something has been happening in your seasons that you cannot explain, and I am about to name it. Here is the symptom. You have plans that dissolve after you speak them. Doors that were opening quietly until you mentioned them, and then they closed without explanation. Opportunities that lost their warmth days after you shared your excitement at a certain table. A pattern of delay that seems to know your schedule. You prepared, you prayed, you moved, and something intercepted the landing every single time. And here is what you concluded, because it is what almost everyone concludes. You thought the problem was you, your discipline, your worthiness. You thought God was saying no, or worse, saying nothing. Some of you have carried a quiet grief about this for years, a suspicion that your life has a ceiling other lives do not have. But look at the pattern through the lens of the table. What if the delays were never rejection? What if they were interception? A handover requires three things: something valuable, in motion, a destination it must not reach, and someone close enough to know its route. You have the first. Your calling is the second. And the warning that opened this message exists because of the third. Think about what actually happens when you share a dream prematurely. You are not just making conversation. You are publishing a route. Here is where I am going. Here is when. Here is how. In a world where only goodwill exists, that costs nothing. But you have lived long enough to know that goodwill is not the only thing seated at your tables. Scripture saw this coming and left you a second witness. A boy named Joseph, 17 years old, wrapped in a coat that marked him as favored, stood up at the family table and announced his dreams to the very brothers whose resentment was already smoldering. I dreamed we were binding sheaves, and your sheaves bowed to mine. He said it plainly, to the wrong audience, and the text says they hated him yet more for his dreams and for his words. Follow what happened next, because it is the same mechanism in older clothing. The brothers did not argue with the dream. They intercepted the dreamer. A pit, a caravan, a sail, a bloodied coat carried home as evidence. The dream itself was never destroyed, notice that. It was delayed by more than a decade, rerouted through slavery and prison, because the route had been published to seats that held access without alignment. Now hear the mercy hidden inside both stories, because I told you this warning is for you, and I meant it. The dream of Joseph still came true. The purpose of the cross was still accomplished. The Judas position can delay a calling. It has never once, in the entire record, been able to cancel one. Whatever has been intercepted in your life is late. It is not lost. And late, in the hands of God, has a strange habit of arriving with interest. If that sentence just loosens something in your chest, I want you to seal this moment of understanding. Go to the comments and type, "The seat explains everything," 5 words. When you write a revelation down, you take it out of the realm of interesting ideas and into the realm of things you now know. And what you are about to learn next, you will want to know on that level. Because now, a harder question rises. and I can feel you already asking it. If the pattern is this old, this documented, this consistent, why did you not see it in your own life until tonight? You are not unintelligent. You are not careless. You have read these same stories. How does a person sit across from a pattern for years and not recognize it? This is where I have to tell you about a conversation that changed the way I understand discernment itself. There is a neurologist in New York City, a man who has spent his career studying how the human mind processes what it perceives, and he told me something I have not been able to forget. He said that the capacity to read people, the fast, wordless knowing that arrives before thought, is not evenly distributed, and, more importantly, it is not fixed. It can be suppressed. It can go dormant. And in most modern adults, he said, it already has. He was not speaking spiritually. He was speaking clinically. He had the scans and the studies. But when he described what this dormancy looks like in a life, I heard him describing everything we have talked about tonight. The overridden first impressions, the politeness that outvotes perception, the person who replays a conversation at midnight because something was wrong in it that their waking mind refused to flag. He described the silenced radar in the language of a laboratory. I am going to come back to that conversation later in this message, because what he told me about why it happens and what he discovered can be done about it belongs at a specific moment in what we are building tonight. For now, hold this one sentence from him. Blindness of this kind is not a character flaw, it is a condition, and conditions have causes. Which means the question is no longer, why did I not see it? The question is, what closed my eyes, and when? And who benefits from them staying closed? Write that question somewhere, because we are going to answer all three parts of it before we are done, and the third answer will be the one you did not expect. Let me give your heart a moment to breathe here, because we have been in deep water. I want you to picture something entirely different. Picture your table, your actual kitchen table, 1 year from tonight. The same wood, the same light, but a different atmosphere. Every seat at it is held by someone whose presence adds to you. Conversation that leaves you fuller. Plans spoken out loud without a flicker of hesitation, because every ear at that table is covenant. Can you feel the difference in your shoulders just imagining it? Hold that image. That is not fantasy. That is the specific future this message exists to hand you. But between you and that table stand the 5 signs. You need them because the Judas position in your life today is not wearing a name tag from an ancient story. It is wearing an ordinary face, a familiar voice, possibly a face you love, beginning with a letter you already guessed. The signs are how you stop guessing. But before the first sign, there is one piece of the mechanism I have not given you yet, and without it, the signs will inform you without protecting you. You need to understand what, exactly, flows through an open channel, because it is more than information, and this is the part that explains the exhaustion. Think again about the treasury bag Judas carried. The text mentions, almost in passing, that he used to take from what was put into it. A slow siphon, hidden inside a roll of service. Nobody audited it, because auditing the trusted feels like a sin against the relationship. And so, for months, provision meant for a holy assignment leaked quietly through the hands of the closest seat. Now name what has been leaking from you. Not money, or not only money, attention, confidence, momentum. The best hours of your best days spent managing one relationship, rehearsing conversations, recovering from visits, explaining yourself to someone who always needs one more explanation. You have been funding a siphon with the exact resources your calling was waiting on. That is why the tiredness clusters. The leak has a location. And there is a second thing that flows through the channel, subtler than the first. Doubt travels inward through it. Have you noticed that your dreams feel foolish within an hour of talking to certain people and unstoppable after talking to certain others? The closest seat does not need to argue against your calling. It only needs to sigh at the right moment. A raised eyebrow at your good news. A concerned pause. A casual question mark placed against your certainty. Water finds cracks. Doubt finds proximity. So here is your first piece of practical armor, and I want you to take it as an assignment, not a suggestion. For the next 7 days, practice the sealed season. Whatever God is currently forming in your life, whatever is new, tender, not yet landed, speak of it to no one except the one who gave it. Not as secrecy, as stewardship. A seed buried in the dark is not being hidden from the world. It is being protected until it has roots that cannot be pulled up by a passing hand. Watch what happens inside you when you try it, because the experiment reveals more than the rule. You will feel an almost physical urge to share with 1 or 2 specific people. Notice exactly who your mind reaches for. Some of those names will be covenant, and the urge toward them is fellowship. But if you feel a pull to share with someone whose track record around your dreams is a trail of dampened fires, pause there. That pull is not fellowship. That is the channel asking to be fed. I told you earlier that a few of you would feel a colder question rise as we went, and I can sense it is rising now for some listening. You are running your own behavior through everything I am describing. The times you spoke about a friend behind their back with a little too much appetite. The flicker of relief you once felt when someone you love stumbled. If that examination is happening in you, do not flinch away from it. The fact that you can see it means the light is on. Judas at his worst was unreachable precisely because he stopped examining. The examined heart cannot hold the position. Your honesty just now is your exit from it, and it is more than an exit. The same sensitivity that lets you audit your own heart tonight is the raw material of the gift we keep circling. People who can see themselves clearly are the only people who can ever see others clearly. Your conviction in this moment is not evidence against you. It is your qualification. And notice something else before we move to the signs, because it will matter later tonight. Everything we have described, the siphon, the doubt, the published roots, all of it depended on one condition. Not the cleverness of the person in the seat, the dormancy of the radar in you. A working radar would have flagged the siphon in its first month. It would have felt the difference between a question asked in love and a question asked in harvest. The entire pattern lives or dies on whether your original equipment is awake. Keep that thread in your hand. The neurologist I mentioned had a phrase for it that stopped me cold, and when I give you his full explanation later, you will understand why the timing of this warning in your life is even more precise than you think. One more thing belongs here, because I can hear a practical mind asking a fair question. What about the people I cannot simply step back from? The J, who shares my last name, the one who sleeps under my roof, or sits in the next office, or stands in my own family photographs. If the warning is real, is my only option a life of walls? No. And I need you to hear that clearly, because fear builds prisons faster than any enemy can. The goal of this message is not distance from people. It is management of access. Those are profoundly different projects. Distance is a blunt tool that costs you relationships. Access management is a precise tool that costs you nothing but attention. You can love someone at full strength and still adjust what flows to their seat. Think of how a wise king runs a court. The court is full. Advisors, servants, visitors, family. The king does not expel everyone who might be compromised. He simply matches information to trustworthiness. Some hear his plans at the idea stage. Some hear them at the announcement stage. Some learn of them with the general public. Every person keeps a place. Not every person keeps the same clearance. Nobody at that court is hated, but the kingdom is protected. You are allowed to run your inner court the same way. In fact, you have always been required to. Guard your heart above all else, the proverb says, for everything you do flows from it. Guard is a military word. It assumes a post, a wall, a watch rotation. What it does not assume is hatred for those outside the wall. The watchman on the wall does not despise the road. He simply knows the difference between the road and the house. So as the 5 signs come, understand what they are for. They are not a verdict you will deliver to another person. They are clearance criteria for your own court. Nobody needs to be told their level. Nobody needs to be confronted at a holiday dinner. The adjustments we make will be quiet, internal, and nearly invisible from the outside. The only thing anyone will notice, months from now, is that your life stopped leaking. Now, the 5 signs. I will give you all 5, and I will not rush them, because each one is a key that fits a lock you have been rattling for years. The first sign is the strangest one, and the most reliable. It has to do with how you feel, not when they hurt you, but when they help you. Sign number 1. Pay attention to how you feel when this person helps you. That sounds backwards, I know. We expect warnings to be about harm, but the Judas position is almost never maintained through harm. Harm wakes people up. The position is maintained through help, and this is why so many of you have spent years confused, because the person your spirit keeps flagging is, by every visible measure, generous to you. But there are 2 kinds of help in this world, and your body can tell them apart even when your mind cannot. Covenant help leaves you free. It is given, and then it is released. No thread trails behind it. You feel lighter after receiving it, the way you feel after a good meal in a warm house. You could go a year without repaying it, and the relationship would not shift by a single degree. Then there is the other kind, help that arrives with an invisible ledger. Nothing is ever said, of course. Nothing is ever said, and that is the genius of it. But you feel the entry being written. A favor done for you becomes a fact about you. It surfaces in small ways, months later. A mention of everything they have done for you, time to land, just as you were about to say no to something. A generosity that somehow always increases their access and your obligation. Run the test right now with the face that came to you at the start of this message. Recall the last time they helped you, genuinely helped you, in a way you could not immediately repay. Now, be honest about the feeling that followed. Was it gratitude, clean and warm? Or was it gratitude with a wire inside it? A faint tightening, a sense that something had been purchased, and you were the item. You have never had language for that tightening, so you buried it. You told yourself you were ungrateful, which is one of the most effective accusations the interference ever whispers, because it turns your radar into a character flaw. But the tightening was a reading. Obligation is a currency, and a person who pays in obligation is not funding your freedom. They are funding your fence. Watch for the pattern around your weakest moments especially. The Judas kind of help has an uncanny attraction to your low seasons. They appear with perfect timing when you are down, and something in you notices that your recovery seems to disappoint them slightly. They loved the version of you that needed them. They go quiet around the version of you that does not. Contrast that with the helpers heaven actually sends. Their help aims at your strength, not your need. They give in ways designed to make themselves unnecessary. They celebrate the day you no longer need the help. Write this distinction somewhere permanent. Covenant help works toward your independence. Positional help works toward your dependence. The direction of the help is the fingerprint of the heart behind it. And if you are seeing it now, seeing years of a particular generosity in its true shape for the first time, breathe. You were not foolish for receiving it. Receiving was not your error, and refusing every gift for the rest of your life is not the correction. The correction is sight, and sight is exactly what is returning to you tonight, one sign at a time. Sign number 2. Your news changes size in their presence. Every piece of news you carry has a natural size. A promotion is large. A good medical report is enormous. A small win is small but real. Healthy relationships handle your news like careful movers handle furniture. The size that goes in is the size that comes out. Your big things stay big. Your small griefs stay worthy of attention. But somewhere in your life there may be a presence that functions like a room with wrong dimensions. You carry good news through their door and watch it shrink in front of you. You announce something you worked years for, and within 4 sentences you are somehow explaining why it is not really that impressive, apologizing for your own altitude. They did not argue with your news. They just received it at half its size, and your instinct to stay connected to them made you cut it down to fit their reception. And notice the reverse, because the room distorts in both directions. Your failures, in their presence, gain size. A setback you had rightly processed as small becomes, through their concern, evidence of a pattern. They remember your losses with impressive precision. They can list your defeats from years ago with dates attached, while your victories seem to slip their minds entirely. Nothing hostile is ever said. The distortion is delivered entirely through emphasis. Here is why this sign matters so much. Your sense of your own life is built socially. We are made that way. And it is not a weakness. The people closest to you function as mirrors, and you assemble your reflection from what they show you. A mirror that shrinks your wins and enlarges your losses is not a neutral presence. It is actively editing your identity, one reflection at a time. Years of that editing produces exactly the person you have sometimes feared you are. Someone whose dreams feel too big for them. Someone who hesitates to celebrate. Someone who leads with apology. Test it against your memories. Think of the moment you shared your best news of the last few years. Play back the faces around the table. Most of them lit up. But if one face performed enthusiasm while the eyes stayed cold, if one voice said congratulations in a tone that weighed nothing, your radar recorded it. You felt a small drop in the middle of your own celebration and could not explain it. That drop was data. The mirror test never misses. Chosen one. People reveal their position in your life by what they do with the size of your joy. Guard the news. Watch the mirrors. And when you find a mirror that shows you true dimensions, that makes your wins bigger in the retelling and your losses survivable, understand what you are holding. That is covenant glass. It is rarer than you know, and it is where your future wants to be spoken first. If these first 2 signs have already identified someone, I want to hear it in your own words. Go to the comments and type, "The mirror was bent." Because naming a distortion is the first act of stepping outside it, and there are people who will scroll those comments at 2 in the morning and realize they are not crazy, and your 5 words will be the lamp they read by. Sign number 3. The information flows one direction. This is the quietest sign of the 3, and in some ways the most technical. But once you see it, you will never unsee it. Sit with this question. After all these years, what does this person actually know about you? And what do you actually know about them? If you are dealing with a Judas position, the audit will stun you. They know your fears because you shared them in vulnerable hours. They know your finances, roughly or exactly. They know your family fractures, your health scares, your doubts about yourself, the dream you are guarding, the timeline you are hoping for. Your file, in their keeping, is thick. Now open their file in your keeping. It is strangely thin. Feelings, real feelings, rarely surface with them. Their fears? You would be guessing. Their struggles arrive only as polished stories after the fact. Victories narrated from a safe distance, never the unarmored middle. You have somehow spent hundreds of hours with a person who has managed to remain almost entirely unwitnessed. That asymmetry is not shyness. Shy people leak truth constantly in small, unguarded ways. This is architecture. A collector builds exactly this structure: maximum intake, minimum output, because information is position, and position is power. Every detail you deposit strengthens their read of you. Every detail they withhold weakens your read of them. Over years, the imbalance becomes an armory, and you supplied it. You have even felt the collection happening, though you called it attentiveness. The questions that go one layer deeper than the conversation warranted. The way small confessions of yours resurface later with perfect recall, deployed at interesting moments. The sensation, after certain conversations, that you said more than you meant to. You always say more than you meant to with them. Have you noticed? That is not your talkativeness. That is skill, theirs, operating on openness, yours. So, here is the third test, and it is simple. Rank the people close to you by how much they know about your inner life. Then ask, for each name near the top, how much do I truly know of theirs? Where you find balance, you have found relationship. Where you find one mirror and one window, where you are fully seen and they are fully sealed, mark that seat. You are not obligated to announce anything. Just mark it. Before we leave this third sign, let me show you what it looks like in an ordinary week, because these patterns hide best inside ordinary furniture. A woman I will call Ruth told me about her sister-in-law, and as I retell it, watch for all three signs braided together in a single afternoon. Ruth got the phone call every parent prays for. Her son, who had wandered for years, was coming home, enrolled in a program, changed. The first person she happened to tell was this sister-in-law, who had helped the family financially twice, a fact that entered every third conversation. The response came smooth as glass. Well, let us hope it lasts this time. 9 words, perfectly reasonable on paper, and Ruth said she felt her joy fold in half inside her chest, and then she felt guilty for feeling anything at all, because after everything this woman had done for them, what right did Ruth have to be hurt? Do you see the machinery? The help had become a shield against Ruth ever naming what the mouth was doing. The mirror bent her largest joy into a cautionary tale, and when Ruth, weeks later, tried to recall one vulnerable thing this woman had ever shared about her own life, one fear, one failure still in progress, she found the file empty. 12 years of Sunday dinners, and the woman was a stranger who knew everything. That is what occupation of the closest seat actually looks like. No villain music plays. Nothing happens that a court could convict. The whole pattern is built from materials that each look innocent alone, and only reveal their shape when you finally stand back far enough to see them assembled. Tonight is you. Standing back. Now, an honest question deserves an honest answer. If the pattern costs you this much, why have you kept the seat filled? Why does the drained visit get followed by another visit? You already suspect the answer, and it is gentler than you fear. Familiarity is a powerful anesthetic. A known weight begins to feel like a natural law. Some of you inherited this person. They came installed in your family or your history, and unseating what you inherit feels like treason against your own story. And there is something deeper for some of you. Somewhere along the line, you started believing that being drained was a form of love, that endurance was loyalty, that the ache was the membership fee of belonging. Hear me carefully. Loyalty is a glorious thing, and you are built for it. But loyalty was designed to flow along covenant, the way blood flows along veins. Loyalty, flowing toward a siphon, is not virtue. It is hemorrhage with good manners. I want to lift something off you before we go further, because I can feel how heavy this is getting for those who are recognizing decades, not months. You did not fail by loving this person. Love is never the mistake. You loved with a radar that had been put to sleep before you were old enough to defend it, which means you loved blind. And loving blind is not a sin. It is a wound. And wounds are not scolded. Wounds are healed. Everything remaining in this message is about the healing, not the scolding. There is one more layer to the one-way flow of information, and I hesitate to say it, but you are ready. Ask yourself where your information goes after it enters their keeping. A collector rarely collects for a private museum. Details you shared in confidence have a way of surfacing in other rooms, slightly edited, arranged into a version of you that serves a narrative you never approved. If you have ever walked into a family gathering and felt that people were responding to a version of you that you never presented to them, then you already know. You have felt the distribution network at work. The closest seat is not always the final destination of what you share. Sometimes it is the switchboard. This is why the sealed season I gave you earlier is not paranoia but protocol. And it is why the old instruction about pearls and swine was never an insult to anyone. It was logistics. What is precious must travel on covenant roads. There are no other safe roads. There never were. And one further mercy, spoken plainly. If at any point tonight you have wondered whether you are simply becoming bitter, test the fruit. Bitterness narrows the world. It makes every face suspicious and every motive dirty. What is happening in you tonight is the opposite movement. The world is becoming clearer, not darker. A few seats are coming into focus precisely so that every other seat can be trusted more fully, more freely, with more of you than you have ever dared give. Discernment does not shrink your love. It gives your love a map. Keep all of this in your hands, because the fourth sign gathers everything, the ledger, the mirror, the file, and aims it at the one place you cannot afford a breach. Not your feelings, not your reputation, your assignment itself. But we do not rush into that territory tired. 3 signs now stand in the light. The help that indebts, the mirror that bends, the file that only fills one direction. Before I give you the last 2, and the fourth is the one that will likely name your J beyond all doubt, let your body catch up with your mind for a moment. Feel your shoulders right now. Notice how much altitude they have gained toward your ears in the last few minutes. Let them come down. Feel the chair or the bed or the floor holding your weight, and notice that it has been holding you this entire time. Without being asked, take one slow breath in through your nose, and let it leave through your mouth at half speed. This matters, because sight was never meant to cost you peace. The watchman on the wall is the calmest man in the city. He can be calm precisely because he is watching. Panic belongs to the unwatched city, not to yours. Whatever these signs are confirming for you tonight, you are safer in this moment than you were an hour ago, because an hour ago the pattern operated in darkness, and now it operates under your eyes. There is an old blessing spoken over watchmen, and I set it over you now, exactly as you are. May your eyes be clear and your heart be unafraid. May you see what must be seen and love what must be loved, and may you never again confuse the two. Rest in that for a breath. The fourth sign is coming, and it touches the most tender territory yet, the territory of your calling itself. Sign number 4. They position themselves between you and your calling. Every sign before this one dealt with how the person handles you. This sign deals with how they handle what is on you. Your gift, your assignment, the thing you were sent here to build. And I need to prepare you. Because of the 5, this is the sign that most often turns a suspicion into a certainty. Think about the thing you know you are supposed to do. Not the job that pays your bills. The assignment underneath it. The book, the ministry, the business, the healing work, the move, the reconciliation, whatever form the sending took in your life. Now watch this person. In your memory, in the moments that assignment came up. A covenant presence, when your calling enters the room, gets out of the way. They may offer wisdom, they may raise honest cautions, but the posture is unmistakable. They are behind you, facing your direction, pushing. The positional presence does something so subtle that most people miss it for years. They move to the front, between you and the thing, facing you. It sounds like this. Are you sure you are ready? Let me look into it for you. I know people. You should really wait until the timing is better. Have you thought about how this affects everyone else? Each sentence is defensible. Each one alone could be love. But map the pattern over years and a shape emerges. Every time you gathered momentum toward the assignment, this person appeared in the road, not as an obvious wall, as a checkpoint, a toll booth. A committee of one that your dreams somehow always had to pass through. And notice the strangest detail, the one that confirms the sign. The same person who doubts your readiness keeps volunteering to manage your gift. They discourage the leap while auditioning to hold the parachute. They speak of your calling with a curious mixture of dismissal and appetite, as if the thing is both not worth doing and too important to be left in your hands. That contradiction is not confusion. Nobody guards a door they believe leads nowhere. Their resistance is the loudest testimony your calling has ever received. Scripture gave us this sign in a single sentence, if you know where to look. When David arrived at the battle line carrying bread and cheese, one voice rose to send him home, and it was not Goliath. It was Eliab, the oldest brother, the one who had watched Samuel walk past him to anoint the youngest. Why have you come down here? With whom have you left those few sheep? I know your pride and the evil of your heart. Hear the bent mirror in it. The giant slayer, reduced to a careless shepherd boy with a bad heart, by the seat closest to his own blood. If David had submitted his calling to the checkpoint of his brother, there is no story. Read that again in your own life. If you keep submitting your assignment to the committee of a bent mirror, there is no story. The sign is not that they will kill your dream loudly. It is that they will pocket it politely, one deferral at a time, and hand it back to you when the season has passed. Sign number 5. Peace returns in their absence, and you feel guilty about it. This is the simplest sign, and the one your body has been screaming for years. Think of a stretch of days when circumstances took this person out of your orbit. A trip, a busy season, a silence. Nothing was resolved, nothing was confronted, they were simply elsewhere. Now remember what the first few days of that stretch felt like. Something in your house got lighter. You slept one layer deeper. Ideas came easier. You laughed at something small and realized the laugh went all the way down, and you could not remember the last time it had. Nothing in your life had changed except one frequency of contact, and yet the difference was so noticeable that it embarrassed you. And then came the guilt, right on schedule. What kind of person feels better when someone they love is away? You pushed the observation down and called yourself tired, or busy, or bad. But chosen one. Your peace is not a moral failure. Peace is an instrument reading. The deep settledness you felt in their absence was your system, unjammed, showing you its true baseline. You did not become a worse person during those days. You became yourself. The question the guilt kept you from asking is the question I am asking you now. If their absence restores you, what is their presence doing? There is a reason doctors take your resting heart rate. You cannot evaluate a strain until you know the baseline. Those days of unexplained lightness were your baseline, and you have been living most of your life above it, in a low-grade tension so constant you registered it as personality. It was never personality. It was load. Let me make the 5th sign concrete, because someone listening needs to see it in furniture and daylight. A man I will call Daniel spent every other Sunday at a table with a lifelong friend, a friend whose name, as it happens, began with the letter we have been circling all night. Good man, by every account. Godly man, people said. And every other Sunday night, Daniel would lie awake with his mind running laps, recounting the afternoon, auditing his own sentences, feeling vaguely accused of something no one had accused him of. Then came a season when the friend moved away for work, 3 months, and Daniel told me that by the 3rd week, his wife asked him at breakfast what had changed, because he was singing in the house again. He had not sung in the house in years. He had not noticed he had stopped. Nothing dramatic had ever happened between them. There was no offense to forgive, no crime to name. That is what confused him. We are trained to think danger always has an event attached. But some presences do their work with no events at all, purely through atmosphere, the way a low ceiling does its work on a tall man. He never gets struck. He just never fully stands. Daniel wept when he finally understood. And they were not bitter tears. They were the tears of a man who realized he was not broken. 16 years of Sunday heaviness had been load, not defect. If you have your own version of the singing that stopped, some joy that quietly went missing and you assumed it was age or stress or seriousness, look again at the calendar of your life. Joy rarely dies of natural causes at your age. Usually, something is sitting on it. And, before we count the 5 keys together, one instruction for the tender-hearted, because I know who listens to messages like this. Do not take the 5th sign and turn it against your season of caregiving. Some of you are carrying a parent through illness, a child through crisis, a spouse through depression, and yes, you feel lighter away from the weight. And no, that is not the sign. Covenant load is real load, but it is load with meaning, and meaning changes its physics. The sign we are naming tonight is something else entirely. The sign we are naming is different. It is weight without covenant, cost without harvest, heaviness that produces nothing in you but management of the one who causes it. You know the difference. You have always known. So there they are, 5 signs, 5 keys, the help that indebts, the mirror that bends, the file that fills one direction, the checkpoint before your calling, the peace that returns in absence. You do not need all 5 to mark a seat. 3 is confirmation, and I suspect, for the face that surfaced in your first 10 seconds tonight, you counted more than 3. If the 5th sign told your story, if you have felt that guilty lightness and never once had words for it, type this in the comments. The peace was information, because somewhere tonight, a person is reading those words at the exact hour of their own guilt, and your sentence will cut a year off their confusion. Now we stand at the door. I told you at the beginning that the danger was never really the person. The signs found the seat, but the seat is not the source. It is time to go inside, to the unlocked door itself. And I want you to walk in gently, because what is behind it is not shameful. It is just young. Here is the question that unlocks everything. Why did the flagged person receive clearance? Your radar fired, early and often. We established that. The readings were filed. So who overrode them? Go back with me, further than this relationship. Go back to the rooms you grew up in. Somewhere in those rooms, a small version of you learned an equation that has been running your access decisions ever since. The equation says, my safety comes from being pleasing. Approval equals protection. Conflict equals danger. Never make the important people uncomfortable. Maybe you learned it from a parent whose moods were weather you had to forecast. Maybe from a faith community that taught you niceness and holiness were the same substance. Maybe from a season of loneliness so sharp that you resolved, without words, to pay any toll for belonging. However, it was written, the equation became a door. And the door has a name. We call it the open door. The standing policy, installed in childhood, that grants access to anyone whose disapproval you fear. Watch how precisely it explains your history. The people who gained the deepest access to your life were not the ones who earned the most trust. They were the ones whose displeasure frightened you the most. Access in your world has been priced in discomfort, not in character. The louder someone could make your anxiety ring, the faster they cleared your gates. Your J did not pick your lock, chosen one. They read your policy, and the policy said yes. I should tell you that the open door takes different shapes in different lives, because as I describe yours, you will want to name it precisely. In some of you, the door is approval. Access is granted to whoever seems able to withhold belonging. In others, the door is guilt. Anyone who can frame a request as an obligation walks straight through. In others, it is history. The seat is protected by the phrase, but we go way back, as if time served were the same thing as trust earned. And in many of you, more than will admit it, the door is the fear of empty chairs. You have done the math in the dark. If I mark this seat, who is left? Better a draining table than an empty room. That fear is so human it aches. But run the numbers honestly. The seat this person occupies is not neutral. It is displacing. The covenant friend you have not met, the aligned partnership that has not formed, the mentor who would push you, they have no chair to sit in because the chair is taken. An open door does not only let the wrong ones in, it keeps the right ones circling outside. And notice, as you search for your word, how far back the door goes. Most of you will find that it predates the person entirely. The J currently in your life is simply the latest tenant of a vacancy that was posted decades ago. That discovery stings for a moment, and then it liberates completely, because it means the end of this pattern was never waiting on another person changing. It was waiting on you seeing. And you are seeing, right now, in real time, perhaps faster than you have ever seen anything. Name your door now, in one word, silently. Approval, guilt, history, emptiness. Perhaps two of them hinge together in you. Do not rush past this. A door you can name is a door you can lock, and a door you refuse to name will call itself loyalty for another decade. There is a release that belongs right here. Before we go to the mechanism underneath, you have been holding a ledger of your own tonight, a private accounting of years you think you lost to this pattern, the visits you cannot get back, the dreams that sat in customs. I want you to picture that ledger in your hands, the actual weight of it, the worn cover, every entry in your own handwriting. Now, hear this, over your life. The years the locust ate can be restored. It is one of the strangest promises in the whole book, and it is yours tonight. Open your hands and let the ledger fall. You do not need the evidence anymore. You are not building a case. You are building a gate. Feel what your hands can hold now that they are empty. Some of you just felt your breath change when the ledger left your hands. That is not imagination. The body keeps the accounts we refuse to close, and it celebrates when we finally close them. Let it celebrate. That release is not denial. The losses were real. But there is a kind of accounting that keeps a wound open, and there is a kind of releasing that lets heaven do its own mathematics with your missing years. Choose the second. Every time the ledger tries to climb back into your hands this week, and it will try, open your fingers again. The gate you are about to build needs both of your hands free. This is why confronting the person, changing the person, even removing the person, has never permanently solved the pattern, for you or for anyone. Remove one occupant, and the door hires another. Some of you have watched this happen across your whole biography. Different names, different faces, same seat, same drain, same guilt. You thought you had a talent for attracting difficult people. You never did. You had an unlocked door and a fearful policy, and certain kinds of people can smell an open policy from across a room. And now the reframe, the one this entire message has been walking toward. If the door is the true issue, then the person God is warning you about is not primarily an enemy to fight. They are a diagnostic to read. Their presence in your life is functioning like dye in an artery, revealing exactly where the breach is. The warning was never, be afraid of J. The warning was, look where J entered, and you will find what I have been wanting to heal in you for 30 years. Feel the weight of that shift. Every drained morning was pointing at the door. Every bent reflection was pointing at the door. Even the guilt was pointing at the door. Because guilt is the alarm, the policy rings whenever you consider choosing yourself. Your whole exhausting history with this person has secretly been a map, and the treasure it marks is the healing of the oldest wound you carry. So the work in front of you is not an argument with another adult. It is a policy change inside your own gates. And a policy change requires only one signature, yours. In a few minutes, I am going to show you why signing it has felt impossible until now, and what a doctor in New York discovered about the machinery underneath all of this, because the door has a biology as well as a biography, and you deserve to understand both. The door has a biography. We just read it together. But I promised you the door also has a biology, and this is where tonight becomes something more than comfort. This is where it becomes an explanation. Return with me to the child you were. We established the radar was standard equipment, and you have already recovered some receipts. The visitor you refused to hug. The friend you dropped without evidence. But I want you to see how much wider the equipment was than just reading people. Remember how you knew things before they happened? Not always in visions, usually in quieter ways. You thought of a person moments before they called. You felt the answer to problems arrive whole, without steps. You drew, or sang, or built, or spoke, with a fluency that startled the adults around you. That was not a phase, chosen one. That was your factory condition. And you have privately wondered, maybe your entire adult life, where that child went. You assumed growing up simply costs that brightness, the way it costs smooth skin. Everyone seems to accept this trade. Brilliance in the sandbox, dimness at the desk, and we call the dimming maturity. But the neurologist I mentioned would tell you that nothing about that trade is natural. The capacity does not expire with age. It is trained into disuse. Think about what the systems of this world reward from the age of 5 onward. One narrow band of thinking. Memorize, calculate, comply, produce, sit still, show your work. The wordless knowing that solved problems whole was marked down because it could not show its steps. The perception that read rooms was called distraction. Year after year, one set of muscles was exercised into dominance while the other set, the set that housed your radar, your creativity, your knowing, was benched. And then life added its own pressure. Because somewhere in your story, survival got loud. Bills, caretaking, crisis, heartbreak. Survival mode narrows perception by design. It is meant for short emergencies, a narrowing of vision so the immediate threat fills the frame. But you have been running it for years. Decades, some of you. And a mind locked in survival narrowness cannot afford the wide, quiet attention that discernment requires. The still, small voice was never silent. The receiver was jammed. Elijah learned where the voice lives, not in the wind that tore the mountains, not in the earthquake, not in the fire. After the fire, a sound of thin silence, and in it, the voice. Now audit your days with honesty. How much thin silence survives in them? The noise begins before your feet touch the floor and follows you into sleep. The one channel discernment broadcasts on is the one channel modern life has paved over. You did not lose the gift. You lost the quiet it speaks in. Understand, there are two kinds of knowing in you, and the whole predicament of your adult life is that they were never introduced to each other properly. There is the knowing that climbs stairs. Step by step, reason by reason, it can show its work, and the world gave it every trophy. And there is the knowing that arrives by elevator. Whole, sudden, certain, unable to explain its route. The first knowing reads contracts, the second knowing reads people. You need both. You were built with both. But somewhere around your 9th or 10th year, the stair climber was promoted to management and the elevator was quietly locked. Here is how you can tell the lock is real and not a poetic figure. Recall the last time you met someone new and felt an instant, bodily, no. What did you do in the next 30 seconds? You overrode it with stares. You listed their credentials to yourself. You reasoned that you were being unfair, that you had no evidence, that your reaction was probably about your own wounds. Evidence is stair language, chosen one. The elevator does not deal in evidence. It deals in arrival. And you have been demanding that your fastest instrument justify itself in the vocabulary of your slowest one. That demand did not come from nowhere. A world that profits from your compliance has every reason to teach you that only stair knowledge is real knowledge. A perceiving person is a difficult customer, a difficult employee, a difficult target. They feel the manipulation in the advertisement. They sense the agenda under the friendly voice. They cannot be herded. So the training that dimmed you was not entirely accidental, and the great swindle of it is that you were taught to call the dimming rational. There is nothing rational about disarming your own alarm system. Ask anyone who has been robbed by someone the dog barked at for years. So, when I say the watchman is asleep, be precise about what that means. Your elevator still runs. It never stopped. Every reading we have recovered tonight, the tightening chest, the drained visits, the guilty peace, those were elevator arrivals, perfectly delivered, and then argued out of existence by the committee of stairs. The restoration you need is not the building of something new. It is a change of government. The instrument must be allowed to testify again, without being cross-examined into silence. So assemble the whole picture now, because you have earned it. A child arrives with a wide, brilliant, perceiving mind. The world trains half of it into silence. Survival narrows the remainder. Noise buries the still small channel. And into that blindness, sometime in these last years, walks a person whose presence required exactly this blindness to go unread. Do you see it now? Do you see why the warning had to come from outside you, tonight, through a message, when it should have come from within you? Years ago, the watchman was asleep, not dead, asleep. And here is the first frame of the future I want to hang in front of you. Imagine the watchman awake. Imagine a morning, some months from now. You wake before your alarm, and the first thing you notice is the absence of dread. Coffee in your hand, and your mind is not rehearsing anyone. A thought arrives about your assignment, clean and specific. The next step simply obvious. The way answers used to arrive when you were small. The phone lights up with a certain name, and there is no spike in your chest. You see the message for what it is, respond with warmth and wisdom, give it nothing it can spend, and set the phone down, unshaken. At the meeting, in the kitchen, on the call, you feel the room the way you felt rooms as a child, and the feeling is information, not anxiety. You know who to sit near. You know which offer is bread and which is bait. People start saying, "You seem different," and they cannot name it, and you smile because you can. The word is home. You are home in your own perception again. And let the picture widen past your own mornings, because a switched-on life does not stay private. See your closest relationships under the new government. You, fully present at the table, because no part of your mind is off managing a threat. Your affection landing at full strength on the people who earned it. Your children or the children of your world receiving a version of you that your survival years could never afford them. See yourself in the rooms where decisions are made, boardrooms or living rooms, no longer the last to see agendas, sometimes the first, quietly 2 moves ahead, protecting people who do not even know they were about to be spent. And see the assignment itself, the book or the work or the ministry moving again. Not because you pushed harder, because you stopped publishing your roots to the wrong seats and stopped bleeding your best hours into recovery. Watch a year of that compound. Then 5. The distance between who you are and who you were sent to be was never talent, chosen one. It was leakage and blindness, and both of those are ending. Hold that picture. It is not a fantasy, and it is not flattery. It is simply what you look like with your original equipment switched back on. Everything remaining in this message is about the switching. But first I owe you the answer to the question of timing, because it is the question the sharpest of you have been holding since the first minute. Why is this warning arriving now? Why not 5 years ago, when the seat was first taken? If heaven saw, why wait? Peter got the answer in one sentence, on the worst night of his life. Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has demanded to have you, that he might sift you like wheat. Stop there, before the comfort comes, and look at the mechanics. The sifting was demanded, permission was sought, which means the interference in your life is not a loose cannon. It operates under constraint, on license, within limits. And licenses like that are not requested against the unremarkable. Nobody sifts sand. Sifting is what you do to wheat, and only when the wheat is ready. The demand against Peter came the same night as his commissioning. The attack and the assignment arrived in the same hour, because in the economy of the unseen, they always do. Now finish the sentence, because the second half holds your answer. But I have prayed for you, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned again, strengthen your brothers. When you have turned, not if. The sifting was foreseen, bounded, and repurposed before it began. What was designed to break Peter was drafted, against its own will, into building him. The man who collapsed at a question from a servant girl became the man who stood up at Pentecost, and the bridge between those two men was the sift. So, when you ask, why the warning comes now, hear the answer with your whole chest. The warning comes now because the wheat is ready now. The pressure around you in this season is not evidence of abandonment. It is evidence of appraisal. Something upstream saw what your life is about to become and filed for permission to interrupt it. And heaven, who could have simply refused, chose instead to allow the sift and send you sight. Because a chosen one who has seen the mechanism cannot be used by it. There is an older story that shows the constraint even more starkly. When the accuser came against Job, every sentence of the license had a boundary written into it. This far, not further, not his life. The interference railed inside a fence it could not move, and when the story ended, everything taken had returned doubled. I am not glamorizing the pain of that book, and I never will. I am pointing at the fence. Whatever has been operating in your life through the seat we named tonight, it has been operating inside a fence the whole time. It was never free. It was tolerated, temporarily, for a purpose that is now complete. Tonight sounds like the purpose completing. And there is one more reason the license was filed against you specifically, and I want you to receive this without flinching. Interference of this magnitude is rarely about one person. It is about a line. Some of you are the first in your bloodline positioned to break a pattern that has cycled through generations. The pattern of brilliant people dimmed early, of callings deferred to keep tables comfortable, of radars put to sleep so that seats could stay filled. The pressure on you is proportional to what your breakthrough releases behind you and ahead of you. Children who will keep their equipment because you recovered yours. That is what the license was really filed against. Not you. Your yes, multiplied down a line. The interference cannot see the end of. That means you are not standing in a crisis tonight. You are standing at a midpoint. Everything before this hour was the first half of a story. The half where things happened to you in the dark. What remains is the second half. The half where you happen to things with the lights on. We have found the seat. We have named the door. We have located the sleeping watchman. What remains is the part the interference has dreaded since the day it filed for its license. Waking him up. Look how far you have come in a single sitting, chosen one. An hour ago, the letter J was a mystery, and the exhaustion was a character flaw. Now you hold the seat, the door, the ledger, the bent mirror, the one-way file, the checkpoint, the guilty piece, the sleeping watchman, and the license with its fence. No counselor could have handed you all of that in a year of sessions, because the frame was missing, and frames cannot be assembled from inside the picture. You stepped outside the picture tonight. That is the actual miracle of this hour, and it already cannot be undone. Sight does not go backwards, but sight, by itself, is not yet safety. A watchman who wakes for one night and sleeps again protects nothing. The question that decides the next decade of your life is not whether you saw tonight. It is whether the seeing can be made permanent, structural, automatic. Whether the equipment can be restored, not just startled awake. And that question has an answer with a name and an address, which is exactly where we are going now. If you can feel the hinge of your own story turning right now, bear witness to it. Go to the comments and type, "The second half starts tonight." Write it like you mean it, because you are about to find out that meaning it is half the mechanism. Before that discovery, one small discipline, because you will need a working quiet to test everything that follows. I call it the 10 minutes of thin silence, and it is exactly what it sounds like. Once a day, no sound, no screen, no task. Sit somewhere ordinary. Let the noise in your head finish its arguments, and it will take most of the 10 minutes. And that is fine. You are not doing it wrong. The first minutes are always the committee talking. Somewhere near the end, underneath the chatter, you will start to notice things. The actual state of your body, a name that keeps surfacing, and the specific feeling attached to it. Sometimes nothing but quiet, which is itself a reading. Do not force conclusions. You are not hunting revelations. You are reopening a channel, and channels reopen with use, not with effort. Right now, as a first taste, drop your attention out of your thoughts and into your chest for a moment. Just notice what is actually there. A tightness you have been carrying since a certain name was mentioned tonight, perhaps. Notice it without fixing it. That simple act, attention without argument, is the whole discipline in miniature. The watchman does not wake up by being shouted at. He wakes up by being visited, daily, until the visits become a post. And now, everything converges. The child who dimmed, the door that opened, the seat that filled, the watchman who slept. In the next few minutes, I am going to take you inside the discovery that ties every thread of tonight into a single knot and then cuts it. So, let me finally take you inside that conversation in New York, because I have been holding a piece of it back, and you are ready for it now. I asked the neurologist a question that had been bothering me for years of walking with people through exactly the pattern you and I have walked through tonight. I asked him why some people can sit across from a wrong presence for a decade and never once consciously register the readings their own body keeps filing. He did not answer with a theory. He answered with a picture. He said, "Imagine the mind as two governments that were designed to share power. One side of you specializes in language, logic, sequence, the stairs we talked about. The other side holds pattern recognition, intuition, the reading of faces and rooms, and intentions, the elevator. Neither is superior. The design assumes constant conversation between them, a running exchange, millions of signals passing back and forth, so that every decision you make is informed by both analysis and perception at once." Then he said the sentence that has never left me. "In most adults I see," he said, "the conversation has gone quiet. Not the sides themselves. The sides are healthy. The exchange between them has thinned, the way a road thins when nobody drives it. Decades of schooling and screens and survival that exercise one government exclusively, and the bridge between the two carries less and less traffic, until the perceiving side of a person is effectively ruling a territory with no ambassador. It still sees everything. It just cannot get its reports into the room where decisions are made." Chosen one, when he said that, I thought of you before I knew you. Because that is the sleeping watchman, described by a man with scans instead of scriptures. The readings about your J were never missing. They were arriving in a room your deciding mind had stopped visiting. The tightened chest was a report with no ambassador. The guilty peace was a report with no ambassador. 20 years of reports, filed perfectly, into silence. There was a study he referenced, one I later looked up, that followed young children over years and measured this wide, both-sided brilliance. Nearly all of the small children tested at the level the researchers called genius, not in arithmetic. In this whole-minded, connecting, perceiving intelligence. Tested again as those children grew, the number collapsed. By adulthood it had fallen to a fraction so small it reads like a misprint. Nothing biological explains a collapse like that. Biology does not decay on that schedule. Training does. I asked him the obvious question. Can the road be rebuilt? Can the conversation be restored in an adult who has run one-sided for 30 or 40 years? And he smiled in a way I did not expect from a clinical man. And what he told me about that, about what he and his colleagues found, and what it does to a person in the first weeks, I am going to share with you in a few minutes. At the moment it belongs. What matters right now is his first word. His first word was yes. Hold that yes while we do the work that only you can do. Because no restoration of equipment replaces the rewriting of policy. The door still needs a new lock, and locks are made of decisions. So, let me hand you the 3 gates that will govern your table from tonight forward. Write them somewhere you will see them. Gate 1. Access follows evidence, not fear. From tonight, no one clears your inner gates because their displeasure frightens you. Discomfort is no longer currency at your table. When you feel the old pull, the urge to hand someone your tenderest information just to keep their weather calm, you will recognize it as the old policy asking for one more signature. Decline gently. You can love a storm without inviting it indoors. Gate 2. Disclosure matches demonstration. People earn depth by how they handle shallows. Give small truths first. And watch. Did the small thing travel? Did it come back edited? Did it get weaponized in a soft voice at an interesting moment? Then the large things never follow. This is not coldness. It is the same wisdom you use with every other treasure you own. No banker is offended by the vault. Good-hearted people pass this test without ever knowing it was given. That is the beauty of it. Only the collectors notice the shallows never deepen. Gate 3. Time is the auditor. No new seat at your center for at least 4 seasons. Character cannot be performed for a full year. Masks slip on schedules, usually in month 3, again in month 8. The person heaven sends will not be insulted by your seasons, because covenant is patient and campaigns are not. Anyone who pressures the timeline has just told you which one they are running. Practice the gentle decline before you need it, because the old policy will not surrender to good intentions. It surrenders to rehearsed sentences. Here are 3. Free to keep. When pressed for information that is still in its sealed season, you can say, I am letting that one grow quietly for now. When pressed for a decision on the schedule of someone else, you can say, I do not decide important things quickly anymore. And when the guilt lever is pulled, the oldest lever on your board, you can simply say, I hear you, and I will think about it, and then do exactly that. Nothing more. No defense, no essay, no apology tour. The sentences feel impossible the first time, and unremarkable by the 10th. That is how new policies always feel. 3 gates. Fear loses its key. Depth must be earned. Time gets a vote. Simple enough to remember at a kitchen table. Strong enough to reorganize a life. And as the gates go up, something else will quietly happen. The covenant people already in your world, the true mirrors, the ones whose presence leaves you fuller, will feel like they finally have room. Gates do not only keep, they honor. The ones who belong inside have been waiting for your table to become safe enough to fully sit at. Apply the gates to the glass in your pocket too, because in this generation the closest seat is often digital. Ask yourself who has instant access to you, whose name can light your screen at any hour and be answered before you have consulted yourself. Whose messages do you read in the voice of obligation? The phone has abolished the front porch, chosen one. People now walk straight from the street into the bedroom of your attention. No knock, no gate, no season. You are allowed to rebuild the porch. Delayed replies are not cruelty. They are architecture. Watch also the moments after contact and make this a ritual for the next month. Every significant conversation with the person we have been speaking of, take 30 seconds afterward and read your own instruments. Chest, breath, shoulders, mood, direction. Write one word down. No essays, just the reading. You are doing 2 things at once with this. You are gathering an honest record that no bent mirror can argue with, and you are practicing the lost habit of letting reports reach the deciding room. 30 seconds, 1 word. By week 4, the file will speak so clearly, you will wonder how you ever lived. without consulting it. And underneath all the gates and rituals, keep one prayer running, the oldest and most dangerous prayer of discernment ever recorded. Search me and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts. See if there be any grievous way in me. Pray it over yourself before you ever pray it over your table, because the gatekeeper must be cleaner than the gate. This is what separates what we built tonight from every bitter list. Making exercise, the wounded world runs. We are not compiling enemies. We are purifying access. The prayer keeps the compass honest, and an honest compass can be trusted even in fog. Now, before we close this section of the work, I owe you honesty about what the gates will cost, because I refuse to send you into a renovation with a brochure instead of a bill. When your policy changes, your atmosphere changes, and atmospheres have tenants. Some people in your world have been living comfortably on the old policy, and they will notice the new one before you ever announce it. They will notice it in what you no longer share, in the questions that now receive warm but shorter answers, in the drama that no longer finds a stagehand in you. And a specific sentence will be spoken about you, possibly to your face, certainly around you. You have changed. It will be delivered as an accusation, and I need you to hear it in advance so that it loses its sting. Of course you have changed. Dead things do not change. The accusation is accurate, and it is also, unintentionally, a receipt. The only people troubled by your gates are the ones who profited from your gatelessness. Covenant people will experience your change as relief. Watch who mourns the open door, chosen one. The mourners are drawing you a map of the old leak. Expect the grief to touch you too, and let it. There is a real sorrow in watching a table get smaller before it gets truer. Some evenings the quiet will feel like loss instead of peace. That is not a sign you chose wrong. That is the sound a life makes while it heals. The emptier chairs are not staying empty. They are being prepared. But between the clearing and the filling, there is a season. And seasons must be walked, not skipped. Walk it. Do not let one lonely Tuesday talk you into reopening a door it took you years to see. And while we are being honest, let me warn you about the counterfeit versions of everything I have taught you tonight, because the interference always sells a fake of whatever heaven is building. The counterfeit of discernment is suspicion. The counterfeit of gates is walls. The counterfeit of the sealed season is isolation. They look similar from a distance, and they are opposites in the hand. Discernment reads people accurately, which means it also clears the innocent. Suspicion convicts everyone and calls the bitterness wisdom. Here is how you will know which one is growing in you. Discernment leaves you calmer, freer, more able to love, because certainty is restful. Suspicion leaves you exhausted, vigilant, shrinking, because paranoia has no off switch. If in the coming weeks you notice the second fruit, do not double down. Come back to this simple test. The true gift makes you larger. Every counterfeit makes you smaller. Adjust accordingly, and adjust without shame. Everyone overcorrects the first month after their eyes open. The skill calibrates with use, like every skill you have ever learned. One more practical mercy, because someone listening is already drafting a confrontation speech in their head. Put the speech away. Nothing we built tonight requires an announcement. The gates are internal. The policy is internal. The seat is reclassified in your private government, not in a family meeting. Confrontation feels like action, but with a positioned person, it is usually donation. It hands them a fresh script, a grievance to distribute, and a detailed briefing on exactly how much you see. Let your protection be quiet. Samson announced his secrets. Nehemiah built with a sword in one hand and never once explained the sword. Build like Nehemiah. And yet, I need to name something, because I can feel it in some of you even now. You have understood everything tonight. The seat, the door, the gates, all of it. Understanding is shining in you. So, answer me this. Why does a part of you already suspect that understanding will not be enough? Why have you understood things before, in other seasons, seen them clearly, agreed completely, and then watched yourself walk back into the same pattern within a month? Why does the insight stay insight and never quite become movement? The answer is not in your character. It is somewhere you have not looked yet, and it is the last piece I have to give you. Sit with that question honestly, because your history already knows the answer. Think of the book that changed your thinking for exactly 11 days. The seminar that rearranged you for a month. The sermon you quoted all spring and could not live by autumn. You are not fickle, chosen one. You are running into a law. Insight lives in one government of the mind, and habit lives deeper. In the body, in the automatic, in the rooms insight visits, but does not rule. Information alone has never once rewired an automatic pattern. If it could, every smoker who read the warning label would be free. This is why I have refused, all night, to leave you with understanding alone, no matter how bright it burns right now. Understanding is the map. It is not the vehicle. And the difference between people who exit this pattern and people who merely describe it beautifully for another decade comes down to whether the deeper machinery, the part that reacts before you think, ever actually changes. That machinery has an access point. It was found, mapped, and made reachable, and I am one section away from putting it in your hands. Let me say it in the plainest language of this entire message, because you deserve to hear it without poetry. Here is the why. Your discernment dimmed because one half of your mind was trained into dominance and the other into silence, and the bridge between them fell out of use. Fear then wrote your access policy, and a person was allowed close who should have required evidence. None of that was your fault. All of it is your responsibility now. Here is the what. The pattern ends when two things happen together. The policy is rewritten, which you began tonight, with 3 gates. And the equipment is restored, the conversation between your two minds physically reopened, so that readings reach the deciding room again without you forcing it. Policy without equipment relapses. Equipment without policy leaks. You need both. And tonight is the first night you have ever held both in your hands at once. And here is the who. This message was never broadcast to everyone. It was routed to people at thresholds. People carrying assignments large enough to attract licenses. People whose bloodlines are waiting on one member to break the dimming and keep their equipment. If the last hour has read your life like an open book, you are not reading mail addressed to someone else. You are the who. If that lands as true, then claim it in 5 words. Go to the comments and type, "I claim my clear sight." Not as a wish, as a filing. Some things in the unseen respond to paperwork. The clarity you now have is real. But clarity alone has never once closed a door. So the only question left standing between you and the second half of your story is this one. Now that you see, what do you do with seeing? You already know what you would do with seeing, if seeing could be trusted to stay. That is the answer under the question. You would set the gates without trembling. You would love the true table at full strength. You would move on the assignment. The only thing you have never had is equipment that holds. So let me keep my promise and tell you how that conversation in New York ended. The neurologist I have been telling you about has a name you would recognize if you moved in medical circles. Dr. Daniel Barone, a neurologist in New York City, a man who has spent his career inside the workings of the human mind. And when I asked him whether the conversation between the two governments of the mind could be restored in an adult, his yes was not a hopeful guess. It was the summary of years of work. He walked me back to a discovery that won the Nobel Prize in 1981. Dr. Roger Sperry, studying patients whose 2 hemispheres had been surgically separated, proved something that rearranged neuroscience. We do not carry one mind. We carry 2 distinct intelligences, each brilliant in its own dialect, one analytical, one perceiving, and the quality of a human life rides on the quality of the connection between them. Sperry showed the world what happens when the connection is cut. Dr. Barone and his colleagues asked the opposite question. What happens when a thinned connection is deliberately restored? Their answer took years, and it did not come as a pill or a program of exercises. It came as sound. A precisely engineered 8-minute auditory sequence built on what they call neural sync technology, designed to do one thing with uncommon precision. When you listen with headphones, the sequence presents each ear, and therefore each hemisphere, with exactly what it needs to draw the two sides back into synchronized conversation. Not forcing anything. Reopening a road that was always meant to carry traffic. They call the result whole brain activation, the restored state you were born in. And they call the tool itself the genius switch. Hear the name the way it was meant. Not a promise to make you someone new. A switch implies something already wired, already installed, waiting on contact. Everything tonight has told you the same story. The radar exists. The child was brilliant. The equipment is intact and asleep. His team simply built the thing that reaches the wiring. Let me say clearly what the genius switch actually restores, so that no one hears a promise I am not making. It does not install new powers. It reconnects native ones. When the two hemispheres return to synchronized conversation, the reports we have talked about all night, the readings from rooms and faces and offers, begin arriving in the deciding chamber again, on time, in language your choices can use. People describe it as fog lifting, as answers arriving whole the way they did in childhood, as a strange new ease in knowing which door is bread and which is bait. Scientists have their own word for that state. They call it flow. Your grandmother had a better word. She called it peace. And understand why sound, of all things, is the road in. The bridge between your two governments was not thinned by arguments, so it cannot be rebuilt by arguments. It was thinned by decades of one-sided traffic, and it reopens the same way roads always reopen, through use. The sequence gives the two sides a reason to speak at the same time about the same thing, 8 minutes a day, and the neuroplasticity every textbook now acknowledges does the paving. Nothing mystical is claimed here. It is the humblest kind of miracle, the kind with a mechanism. The protocol is almost embarrassingly simple. Headphones on, eyes closed. 8 minutes. That is the entire discipline. No mantras to repeat, no visualizations to hold, no 40-minute practice to defend from your schedule. The sequence works beneath your awareness while you rest inside it. Miss a day, and nothing collapses. You simply return the next day, the way you would return to any road. I have watched what happens when praying people add this to their quiet minutes, and it is the reason I am willing to speak of it in a message like this one. A nurse in San Diego described it as the fog of 2 decades lifting in her first weeks, decisions that used to circle for days landing in minutes. And a woman in Manhattan, this is the one that stays with me, said that after a month she finally felt like the person her grandmother used to pray over. She had spent her whole adult life assuming the family dimming was hers to inherit. It was not, and she is the one who proved it for her whole line. A man in Houston, a builder of an online business, tells a version, "I want the practical minds here to hear." He did not report visions or feelings. He reported decisions. Problems that had circled his desk for months began resolving in single sittings. He described sitting down to a knot in his business and watching the answer assemble itself while his coffee was still warm, and his first thought was, "This is how it used to feel in my 20s. Notice what returned to him. Not magic. Velocity. The two governments agreeing quickly, the way they were built, too. And let me set honest expectations about the early days, because I would rather lose a sale than plant a false clock. For most people, the first change is sleep deepening and the head quieting, often inside the first week. The sharper knowing tends to surface in weeks 2 to 4. usually noticed in hindsight. You catch yourself having simply known something and acted smoothly on it. And the social readings, the table site we have built all night, that layer typically becomes undeniable somewhere in the second month. It is a reopening road, not a light switch on a wall, and every genuine restoration has a season. Anyone who promises you an overnight rebirth is selling theater. This is masonry. More than 18,000 everyday Americans have now walked the same 8-minute road. Not monks, not mystics, teachers, nurses, builders, mothers, men and women, mid-sift, people exactly like the person hearing this sentence. But I will tell you what Dr. Barone would tell you himself. The genius switch is not for everyone. If a person is content with the one-sided life, if the sleeping watchman suits them, if there is no assignment pressing on their chest, and no seat in their story that needs reading, then 8 minutes a day is 8 minutes wasted. This tool is for the ones who have felt everything tonight land like an X-ray of their own house. The ones at thresholds. It has a way of finding exactly those people, which is perhaps why you are still here. Now let me be plain about the practical side, because you deserve numbers without theater. When colleagues in his field saw what this sequence does, they told him it could carry a $500 price and be called fair. And for once, the flattery was probably accurate. It was made available instead for $49. And through the page connected to this message, the one in the description below and in the pinned comment, it is $39. 10 further dollars off on that page and nowhere else. They also refused to send it out alone. At that $39, 4 companions travel with it. A guided visualization from one of the most loved creators on the Calm app, walking your newly synchronized mind through the 4 rooms of a restored life. Provision, love, health, joy. A smart grocery guide naming the 10 common American foods that fog the thinking mind, with shopping shortcuts that quietly pay the cost of the whole tool back within a month or 2. A classic book on the laws of increase, more than a century old, the root text behind half of what is taught about abundance today. And a beautifully designed page of the 5 habits that build an ideal future, made to be printed and placed where your eyes begin their day. And underneath all of it, an ironclad guarantee. 100% money back. Listen for a season, and if your mornings, your discernment, your table do not change in ways you can name, ask for every dollar and receive every dollar. No interrogation, no matter how many times you have listened. The risk is not carried by you. It never was. Now let me stand where some of you are standing, because I can hear the objections from here, and every one of them deserves respect. The first voice says, I have tried things before. The courses, the practices, the disciplines, and my drawer of abandoned breakthroughs is full. Friend, look closer at that drawer. Everything in it made demands. 40 minutes of focus. Perfect consistency. Belief held at the correct temperature. Every one of those tools required the very faculties that were offline, which is like requiring a man with a broken leg to jog to his own surgery. 8 minutes of listening requires nothing that your dimmed seasons took from you. That is not a small difference. It is the whole difference. The second voice says, $39 is not nothing. And in this economy, that voice deserves an honest answer, not a shame answer. Here is the honest answer. You have already been paying. The drained hours, the intercepted opportunities, the years of momentum lost to a leak nobody could see. All of it had a price, and you paid it annually, invisibly, without a guarantee. $39, with every cent returnable, is not the expensive option in this story. It is the first time the bill has ever been small, visible, and refundable at once. The third voice is the careful one, the one that says, this sounds too good to be true. I honor that voice. It is your radar doing its job, and after tonight I would be the last person to tell you to override it. So, do not override it. Test it. That is what the guarantee exists for. A counterfeit flees audits. This tool volunteers for one every single day, with your money standing safely outside the experiment the entire time. And the quiet fourth voice, the believing one, asks, should a person of faith lean on a tool at all? Should not prayer be enough? Beloved, take that question seriously, and then take it to the book. When the tormenting spirit came upon Saul, what did heaven prescribe? A boy with a harp, sound, engineered by anointed hands, restoring order to a disordered mind, so that the man could function again. The strings of David did not replace the presence of God. They prepared a house for it, a tool that clears the static between your two God-built minds is not a rival to your praying. It is a harp. One honest caution, and I give it to you the way I would give it to family. That page holds the $39 arrangement today. I cannot promise the number holds next month, and I will not pretend otherwise to create theater. And because imitations follow everything genuine, know this, the sequence lives on its official page alone. It is not on the big retail sites, not on the streaming platforms, not in the hands of any third party. If you encounter it anywhere but the official page, you have encountered a counterfeit, and after tonight, you of all people know what counterfeits do with open doors. So here is my only ask, and it is the same one I have made all night. Consult the watchman. If something in you has been leaning forward through this entire section, that is a reading. Follow it to the description or the pinned comment while the evening still has you, and let 8 minutes a day begin rebuilding what 30 years of noise dismantled. What the genius switch restores is the very instrument this entire warning depended on, and there is something fitting about answering a message on discernment with the most discerning decision available to you, a fully reversible one. And if the reading says not mine, honor that too, completely. And about the timing of all this, one last word, spoken carefully inside the boundaries of honesty. I do not know your calendar, but I know what season this message found you in, because you told me all night with your recognitions. You are mid-sift. The license is active, the threshold is near, and the one instrument the whole contest turns on is the one this tool was built to restore. There are windows in every story where a single decision carries triple weight, where the same act that would have been ordinary in another year becomes pivotal in this one. The old word for such a window is kairos. Fishermen dropped nets in kairos and pulled up walls of silver. The same nets, an hour late, came up green water. I cannot tell you how long your window stays open. I can only tell you that you are standing in one, and that everything about tonight, down to the letter that pulled you in, suggests it did not open by accident. Because hear me, every gate, every sign, every gram of sight you gathered tonight remains yours in full, tool or no tool. This message was never a corridor with a cash register at the end. It is a table, and you have already eaten. What I have offered in this section is simply the thing I would be unable to withhold from a friend sitting across from me, knowing what I know, having watched what I have watched. I will add only this, because some of you need to hear the sentence behind the sentence. In 11 years of carrying messages to chosen people, I have recommended almost nothing by name. My caution borders on the unreasonable, and the people who walk with me know it. The reason this one crossed my threshold is simple. It matches the diagnosis. All night we have named a very specific wound, the thinned conversation between your two minds, and this is the only tool I have encountered that aims at that exact seam, built by a man whose credentials sit in the open, resting on research that holds a Nobel Prize, wrapped in a guarantee that removes the gamble entirely. When the arrow matches the wound that precisely, staying silent felt less like caution and more like withholding. Whatever you decide, decide it as the person you have become in this hour, not the person who clicked an hour ago. That person feared a letter. You read tables. Let the decision come from the reader. Take a breath. Feel where you are. Somewhere in this hour, The fear you arrived with quietly changed its name. It is called information now. And there is one more movement left in this message, the one everything else was preparing you for. We have talked all night about what was done to you. It is time to talk about what you were made to do back. What you were made to do back. Let me show you. And to show you, I have to take you to a throne room in Egypt, to the single most stunning sentence a betrayed man ever spoke. Joseph stands in linen and gold, second over the empire, and the brothers who sold him are on their faces in front of him, waiting for the executioner to be called. Every power is his. The record of the pit is fresh in the room, and Joseph opens his mouth and reorganizes the universe. You meant evil against me. He does not soften the crime, notice. He names it. Evil meant aimed, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive. Two intentions, riding one set of events. The brothers meant a pit, heaven meant a pipeline. The caravan they sold him to was the only road to the palace he now ruled from, and the famine he now broke was broken with authority he could never have gathered as the favorite son at home. Nothing about the evil became good. The evil stayed evil, but it was outranked, commandeered, forced to carry a promotion it intended as a burial. Now bring that home, because this is your sentence to speak, not just to admire. The seat near your table meant what it meant. The siphon, the bent mirror, the collected file, whatever moved through that position, name it honestly the way Joseph did, and then finish the sentence. What was positioned to dim you has spent years accidentally training you. You know the readings now because you lived under a jamming signal and kept receiving anyway. You can spot a checkpoint at 50 paces because one stood in your road. The discernment this entire message awakened had something to press against all these years, and that something was the seat. Your J was drafted, against every intention, into building the very watchman who now sees them. That is what you were made to do back, chosen one. Not revenge. Conversion. You convert the position into curriculum. You convert the drained years into a sensitivity no seminar could have taught you. And then you do the thing the interference never plans for, the thing that breaks the pattern at the root instead of the branch. You forgive. Wait. Do not close your heart at the word. Hear what forgiveness is in the mouth of Joseph, because the counterfeit version has robbed too many of you. Forgiveness is not declaring the evil good. Joseph never did. It is not restoring the old access. Joseph did not hand his brothers the treasury. The brothers came under new terms, tested terms, watched terms, and the reconciliation was real, precisely because the sight stayed on. Forgiveness is this. You release the person from the debt they cannot pay you anyway, so that your two hands are free for the gates and the assignment. Unforgiveness is one more siphon, chosen one, the last and cleverest one, because it drains you in the name of justice long after the person has left the room. I know what some of you are thinking, because the thought has teeth. You are thinking, but you do not know what they took. And you are right. I do not. Some of you are not grieving drained Sundays. Some of you are grieving a marriage that a whispering seat helped dismantle, an inheritance rerouted, a reputation quietly bled out across years of edited retellings, a calling that sat in customs so long you stopped checking on it. I will not stand here and call any of that small. It was not small. The pit was a real pit, and Joseph wept, real tears in it. And the scripture is not embarrassed to record them. But watch what Joseph never did, because his restraint is the deepest lesson in the story. He never once built his palace around the pit. He named his firstborn Manasseh, saying, God has made me forget my hardship, not amnesia, release. The memory stayed, the residence changed. Some of you have been living at the address of what they did to you, visiting the pit daily, keeping it swept. Chosen one, the pit does not need a caretaker, and the palace has rooms you have never opened, because a person cannot fully live at two addresses at once. Tonight, you choose your address. There is a physics to this that the bitter never discover. Resentment binds you to the very person you are trying to escape. It is a leash you hold from your own end, and it transmits their influence into your decisions years after their access was revoked. The man who hates his betrayer consults his betrayer before every risk. What will they say if I fail? Will they enjoy it? He has removed them from the table and installed them in his head, rent-free, with a better seat than they ever held before. Forgiveness, the Joseph kind, is not charity toward them. It is eviction of them. It is you taking back the last room they occupy. So somewhere this week, alone, no announcement, speak the Joseph sentence over your history. Name what was meant. Declare what God meant instead. And release the debtor, not because the ledger was false, but because you are done funding the collection agency with your own peace. You will know it worked by the strangest sign. The face that surfaced in your first 10 seconds tonight will begin to look different to you. Smaller, sadder. A person who was themselves dimmed young, running a policy written into them before they could read. Positioned people are almost always former open doors. Beloved, the pattern eats its own first. That understanding does not reopen your gates. It just takes the poison out of your watching. Before this message ends, I am going to speak something over your life, a ceiling, and I need you unburdened for it, which is why the releasing came now. But first, stand with me at the overlook, because you have earned the long view of where all of this goes. Look 1 year down the road. The table is different. Not emptier, truer. 2 seats changed occupants, and the room breathes now. You speak your plans out loud at that table, and nothing shrinks. Your news keeps its size. Somebody at that table asks a question so aligned with your assignment that you feel the old tears rise, the good kind, the kind that come when you realize you are being helped without a ledger opening anywhere. Look at yourself in that room. The 30-second instrument check after conversations became automatic somewhere around month 2. The sealed season is second nature now. New people still arrive, and some of them still carry the old pattern. And here is the miracle. You feel them at the door now. Not with fear, with information. The watchman stands his post without your effort. The reports arrive on time. And the whole apparatus that failed you for decades runs quietly in the background of a life that has gotten unmistakably larger. And look at the assignment, moving. Not perfectly, nothing real moves perfectly, but moving, unmistakably, the way a river moves after the beavers are managed. The book has chapters. The business has customers. The ministry has faces in the chairs. The reconciliation actually happened, on new terms, sight on. And people have started asking you, quietly, in kitchens and parking lots, how you got so clear, because they are living inside the fog you left, and they can smell the difference on you. Your breakthrough has begun recruiting. That is how lines break, beloved. One member at a time, each one becoming the proof the next one needed. Hold the overlook one moment longer, because there is a detail in it you may have missed, and it is my favorite one. In that 1 year room, watch how you talk about this current season. You will tell this story, the letter, the warning, the night everything came into focus, and you will tell it lightly. People will laugh at parts of it. You will laugh at parts of it. The thing that sits on your chest tonight with the weight of a stone will have become, in 12 months, a story you tell while carrying dishes to the sink. That lightness is not forgetting. It is digestion. The hardest seasons, fully processed, become nourishment, and you are closer to that lightness tonight than you have been in years, because processing began the moment the pattern got its name. One caution for the road between here and there, offered with love. There will be a week, probably within this first month, when the old world makes its counteroffer. The person will have a crisis that only you can solve, or a sweetness will return that reminds you of the beginning, or a mutual voice will carry the message that you are being cold, unchristian, unfair. The timing will be uncanny, arriving exactly as your new gates settle. Do not be alarmed and do not be moved. Every renovation gets tested before it gets certified, beloved. The counteroffer is not a sign you chose wrong. It is the receipt confirming the old system noticed. Hold the gates with a warm heart and a fixed hand, and let the test do what tests do, which is prove the work. Some of you, sitting inside that vision just now, felt the 8-minute road running underneath it, the morning practice quietly holding the clarity steady the way rails hold a train. If that is your reading, the door to it stays where it has been all night, in the description and the pinned comment, and the genius switch will meet you there tomorrow morning. Headphones on, eyes closed, while the coffee cools. Either way, the vision stands. Tools accelerate roads. They do not own them. And because I want the release to finish its work in you, I will hand you the strangest instrument in the whole toolbox, the one that feels impossible until the moment it sets you free. At some point in the coming days, when the releasing has settled, speak one sentence of blessing over that person. Alone, quietly, not blessing on their schemes, never that, blessing on their soul. Something as simple as, may God heal whatever was dimmed in you before you ever reached my table. You do not have to feel it the first time. Obedience precedes feeling in every deep thing. But watch what happens inside your own chest when you do it, because a blessing spoken over a former occupant is the surest proof ever devised that the seat no longer commands you. The dark cannot counterfeit that prayer, beloved. It has no idea what to do with a watchman who blesses. Widen the lens one more time before we build the final practice, because the vision is larger than your own table. Look, 2 generations down the road, there is a child in your line, perhaps born, perhaps not yet, who will grow up in a house where perception is honored instead of trained away. When that child refuses a hug, someone will listen instead of scolding. When that child says the visitor feels wrong, the adults will check instead of laughing. Their radar will never need reawakening, because no one will ever put it to sleep. And they will have no idea, probably ever, that the reason their equipment survived childhood intact is that one ancestor, in 1 hour, on one ordinary night, saw a pattern and refused to pass it down. That unmarked inheritance is the truest monument this night will build. There is also a role coming toward you that I should prepare you for, because it arrives faster than you expect. People are going to start bringing you their letters. Not J, necessarily. Their M, their T, their R. Something about a person who has walked out of this fog carries a signal, and the still foggy feel it and come close. When they come, remember the order we walked tonight, because you will be tempted to skip to the end and just name their seat for them. Do not. You are not called to become the checkpoint in the road of anyone else, not even as a rescuer. Hand them questions, not verdicts. Ask how they feel after the visits. Ask whose absence restores them. Let their own watchman wake up on his own legs, the way yours did tonight. Guides point at doors. Only the owner can walk through. And gather the week now, so it leaves with you in one piece. Tonight before sleep, the ledger stays down, and the Joseph sentence gets its first quiet rehearsal. Tomorrow begins the 10 minutes of thin silence, and the first sealed 7 days around whatever is newest in your life. The 30-second instrument check follows every significant contact. The 3 gates stand their posts. Fear spending nothing, depth earning everything, time auditing everyone new. Somewhere, midweek, the blessing, when your chest is ready. And for those whose reading said yes, 8 quiet minutes each morning, headphones on, letting the road between your 2 minds carry a little more traffic every day. None of it is heavy, chosen one. Notice that. The whole armory weighs less than 1 drained Sunday used to. Here is what I want you to do with the vision while it is still warm in the room. Go to the comments one more time and type, "My table is changing." Present tense, not future, because as far as heaven is concerned, the reorganization began the moment you saw the seat, and everything now unfolding is paperwork. Let your sentence sit in that river of comments as evidence. For you on the discouraged days, and for the stranger scrolling at 2 in the morning with a face surfacing in their mind and no words yet for why. And if you are wondering whether you will really hold all of this, whether the weak will scatter it the way weaks scatter things, let me settle you with something true about how transformation actually sticks. You do not need to hold all of it. You need to hold any of it, daily. And the piece you hold will pull the rest along behind it, like a rope pulls a net. Miss the silence one day. Keep the instrument check. Forget the gates in one conversation. Catch it an hour later and simply note what happened. The watchman does not resign over a missed watch, chosen one. He returns to the wall. Returning is the skill. Everything else is decoration around returning. There is one more thing to do before the sealing, one final piece of equipment to install. And unlike everything else tonight, this one requires your eyes closed and your full presence for 3 minutes. It is the practice that makes everything permanent, and I saved it for last on purpose. When you are ready, we will build it together. The practice I promised. Let me tell you why it comes last, and why it is not optional if you want tonight to survive the week. Everything you have received in this hour lives, for now, in the understanding mind, and the understanding mind has a small warehouse and a fast turnover. By Thursday, the world will have stacked 400 new urgencies on top of tonight, and by next month, this hour could become a message you vaguely remember appreciating. Unless the truth gets moved out of the warehouse and into the body, because the body is where the permanent things live. You do not remember how to ride a bicycle with your understanding, beloved. You remember with your bones. Tonight has to become bone. That is what guided activation does. And it is why every deep tradition, including ours, has always paired revelation with embodiment. Hearing built the ark of nothing. Noah hammered. Israel did not think about the Jordan. Feet touched water. So give me 3 minutes of stillness now, not as relaxation, but as construction. We are pouring the foundation under everything the night revealed. Find a position where your body can be still. If you are driving, keep your eyes open and simply listen, and return to this practice tonight before sleep. Everyone else, let the shoulders drop, let the jaw unclench, and when you are ready, let the eyes close. We are going to install the watchman, not as an idea, but as a place your body knows how to find. Breathe in slowly through your nose and let the breath out at half speed. Once more, slower on the exhale. Notice the surface holding you. It held you before you noticed it. That is what faithful things do. Now let an image build. You are standing in front of a house at dusk, and the house is your life. You recognize it without being told. Every window glowing warm is a covenant relationship. There is the porch. There is the front door, solid, hinged, beautiful. And notice, without fear, that the door stands open and has stood open so long that leaves have drifted across the threshold into the hall. Walk to the threshold. Stand in the doorway of your own life. Feel what it has meant. All these years, this openness. Every good thing that entered here. And every draining thing too. The door was never the problem. The door is a glory. It was the absence of a keeper that cost you. Now look down at your right hand. There is a key in it. It has been there the whole time, warm from your own skin. This is the authority you were given before the foundations, the authority over your own gates, that no one, in any realm, is permitted to override. Feel its weight. Authority always has weight. Close the door gently. This is not a slam. This is not fear. This is stewardship. Feel the frame. Receive the door. Hear the soft sound of a fitted thing finding its place. Turn the key. One turn. The sound of the lock is not a prison sound. It is the sound of a decision. From this night, what enters by discernment and not by drift. And now climb, because the house has a tower you have never used. Stairs, worn smooth, waiting. At the top, a small room with windows on every side, and a chair, and a lamp. This is the watch room. From here you can see every road that approaches your life. See how far the sight reaches. This room was in the blueprints from the beginning, chosen one. You are not adding it, you are occupying it. Sit in the chair, feel it take your weight, made exactly for you. From this seat, look down the roads. Somewhere out there, far off, small figures move, some bringing bread, some bringing agendas. And from this height, you can tell which is which, while they are still miles away. Feel what that does in your chest. Not vigilance. Peace. The watchman is the calmest man in the city, because he sees. Now the reframe, spoken from the chair. Say it inwardly with me, in your own inner voice, present tense. I am not the person things happen to in the dark. I am the keeper of this house. My door has a lock, and the lock has a key, and the key does not leave my hand. My tower is manned. My reports arrive. What I feel is information, and information serves my assignment. The seat at my table belongs to Covenant, and Covenant only, from this night forward. And now the anchor, so your body can find this room without the full journey. Place one hand flat over the center of your chest. Feel the warmth, travel both directions. Hand into chest, chest into hand. This touch is now the doorway to the watch room. In any moment of pressure, a hallway, a phone call, a holiday table, this same hand, resting 1 second in this same place, returns you to the chair in the tower. The height, the sight, the calm, the key. One touch, 1 second. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Breathe once more, deep and unhurried. And with the hand still resting there, hear this. The room does not close when your eyes open. It is not a visualization. It is a jurisdiction. You built nothing tonight. You took office. When you are ready, let the eyes open and come back to the sound of my voice, slowly, bringing the key with you. Welcome back, Keeper. Something is different in the way you are sitting right now, and I want you to notice it before the ordinary world argues with it. That settledness has an address now. You know the way back. Let me show you the anchor working. 3 rehearsals. So the first real use is not the first use. It is Tuesday, and the phone lights with the name. The old body would tighten before the thumb even moved. Instead, your hand crosses your chest, 1 second, and you are in the chair, high above the road, watching the message arrive as a small figure with a package. From the tower, you read it for what it is, and you answer. From height, warm, brief, unspendable. The exchange ends and your evening continues as if it had never been interrupted, because at the level that matters, it was not. It is a holiday, and you are 12 feet from the seat itself, and the mirror comes out mid-meal, polished, aimed, an old comment about your dreams sized for the whole table to hear. The hand rests on the chest, 1 second, refilling a glass, no one notices. From the chair you see the sentence in the air between you, see the hook curving inside the bait, and you let it pass to no one. A gentle answer, a change of subject, and the table moves on, and the person who launched it is left holding a line no fish visited. You feel, of all things, a flicker of compassion. Towers do that to perspective. It is an ordinary morning, month 3, and something new is on your desk. An opportunity, a person, an open door of the good kind. The old body would have asked the bent mirror what it thought, out of habit older than your signature. Instead, hand to chest, chair, height, roads. And from the tower, you consult the instruments that were always yours. The quiet yes and no underneath your chest, the readings that arrive whole. You decide from the watch room, and the decision holds. Because decisions made at height do not wobble at street level. Do you see what these rehearsals share? 1 second of touch buys you 3 seconds of height, and 3 seconds of height is more advantage than the pattern ever allowed you. Every battle you lost to this dynamic, you lost at street level, in the first flinch, before thinking arrived. The tower removes the street from the equation. You will still feel things down there, but you will not decide down there, ever again. So carry the creed of the keeper, 5 lines, small enough for a pocket. My door has a keeper now. My readings reach the room. My table seats covenant only. My height is 1 touch away. And my assignment gets my best hours, not my leftovers. Say those over your coffee for the first 7 mornings, with the hand where it belongs, and let the repetition do what repetition does. Carve. 1 more word about the tower, because I do not want you to misunderstand its purpose and turn it into a hiding place. The watchroom is not a retreat from your life. It is the command post of it. You climb for sight, and then you descend and love people, boldly, warmly, at full strength, the way only a protected heart can afford to love. The unguarded love, timidly, beloved. They have to. Every openness costs them blood. You are about to discover the strange arithmetic of gates, that the locked door loves louder than the open one ever could, because it has stopped hemorrhaging and started choosing. Before I seal this over you, there is one thing left, the thing I have been saving since the very beginning, and I will confess the saving now. When this message opened, a letter pulled you in. A warning wrapped around one initial, and a face rose to meet it. And for an hour, we have studied the shadow that letter cast across your table. But I never told you the other half of the letter, and I was never going to leave you without it. After the sealing, before you go, I will hand you the detail about the letter J that changes how you will remember this entire night. Stay for it. It is worth 30 more seconds of your life. But first, the sealing itself, because a night like this cannot be allowed to evaporate into scrolling and sleep. What happened here has to be fixed in place, spoken over you in the old way, witnessed. In every account that matters, the turning points get sealed. Wells get named, stones get raised, altars mark the ground where sight arrived, so that the person can return on doubting days and touch the marker and remember, it happened, it was real, I was there. In the old stories, when sight arrived, people marked the ground. Jacob slept on a stone, saw the ladder, and in the morning stood the stone upright, and poured oil on it, and named the place, saying, Surely the Lord was in this place, and I knew it not. Hear how precisely that is your sentence tonight. The Lord was in this pattern, in this warning, Zerikaleven, even in the long delay of it, and you knew it not. So raise your stone. For some of you, it is a line in a journal dated tonight. For some, it is the word you typed in the comments, standing there like a small monument among thousands. For some, it is simply the hand on the chest and a whispered, It happened here. Mark it however you mark things, but mark it. Doubt will visit in a few weeks, it always does, and doubters argue poorly against monuments. So gather everything now, one last time, and hold it lightly in your hands, like the evidence it is, the face that surfaced and no longer frightens you. The seat, seen. The 5 signs, learned. The door, named and locked. The gates, standing. The ledger, released. The Joseph sentence, waiting for its quiet rehearsal. The watchroom, occupied. The road of 8 minutes, open to those whose reading said walk. And the assignment, your assignment, stirring under all of it like something that has heard its name called after a long silence. And before the covenant words, let me look up from the page and see you, because you deserve to be seen tonight, specifically, not generally. Some of you are hearing this in a parked car outside your own house, engine off, not ready to go in yet, because the seat we have been describing is inside those lit windows. I see you. Take the tower in with you. It travels. Some of you are on a break in a stockroom or a nurse's station or a cab of a truck, listening with one earbud, stealing formation the way the faithful have always stolen it, in margins, in fragments, between demands. Your margins moved heaven tonight. What you built in fragments will hold in storms. Some of you are in the dark of a bedroom, phone glowing, well past the hour you promised yourself sleep, and this found you because the night watch is when your kind finally gets quiet enough to hear. The timing embarrasses you. It should not. The deepest mail has always arrived at night, beloved. Ask Samuel, ask Jacob. The dark is not your insomnia. Sometimes it is your appointment. Some of you wept somewhere in this hour, once, briefly, at a sentence that knew too much, and you are hoping no one ever asks about it. No one will. But know what the tears were. They were the sound of an inner account finally being believed. Yours, believed by you. That is no small thing. Bodies grieve the years of overriding before they celebrate the end of it. Let both happen. And some of you are simply tired. Beyond drama, beyond tears. The specific tiredness of the long faithful. And you mostly need to know that this was real, and that it will still be real tomorrow. It was. It will be. Revelation does not expire overnight, and the door you locked in the tower stays locked while you sleep. The watchman keeps the watch precisely so that you can finally stop keeping it with your whole nervous system. Rest is about to change texture for you. Whoever you are, wherever this found you, one thing is now true of all of you together. You can never again unknow what you know. The seat, the door, the signs, the sift, the tower. 1,000 messages wash over a person and leave no ring. Once in a great while, one lands in the foundation. You felt which kind. This was somewhere around the second sign, and that feeling was itself your radar. Back on duty, reporting for work an hour before you officially rehired it. You did not stumble into this hour, beloved. You were escorted here. Every delay that ever confused you conspired to make you available on this exact night, at this exact depth, with this exact readiness. Even the interference cooperated against its will, because without the seat, there would have been no search, and without the search, no sight, and without sight, no keeper in the tower tonight. It all bent toward this. It always does, for the called. Now stand. In spirit if not in body, because the words that come next are not commentary, they are covenant. Receive this now, not as words about your life, but as words spoken directly over it, in the presence of every unseen witness this night has gathered. May the God who sees in secret, who watched every drained Sunday and counted every overridden warning, now restore to you the years the pattern consumed. Not repaid grudgingly, but restored with interest. The way he restores all things, he personally watches over. May the losses that had names become gains that have testimonies. May every route that was published to the wrong seats be redrawn in ink. No collector can read. May your gates stand without your striving. May fear never again hold a key to any door in your house. May depth be earned at your table, and time be honored in your courtyards, and may every covenant heart already in your world feel, this very week, a new spaciousness in your presence, and lean closer, and find you home. May the watchman in your tower never sleep again. May reports arrive on time for the rest of your natural life. May you feel bread and bait at first taste, agenda and affection at first syllable, and may the feeling arrive gently, as information, and never as fear. And may the one whose face rose tonight be dealt with by heaven, not by you, beloved, in mercy, if mercy can reach them, at distance if it cannot. And may their absence or their transformation both arrive as peace to your table. May the assignment that has waited in customs be released to your hands undamaged, with nothing missing and nothing stale, and may you find that the delay ripened it rather than rotted it. May the right doors recognize your knock this year. May the right people find your table this year. May provision root itself around every intercepted road and arrive by paths no seat at any table ever heard you mention. May your sleep deepen starting tonight, because the watch has been transferred to a watchman who does not tire. May the two governments of your mind speak freely all the days of your life. And may every gift that was dimmed in you before you could defend it come back online in its season, fully, without residue, as if it had never slept at all. And over your line, hear this. May the pattern that has cycled through your family, the brilliant ones dimmed early, the callings deferred to keep tables comfortable, the radars traded for approval, may that pattern find in you a wall it cannot pass. And may everything downstream of your life inherit the equipment awake, the doors kept, and the tables true. Let it be said in generations you will not meet, that somewhere back up the line, one of ours saw it and ended it, and we have watched in peace ever since. Now, breathe with me. One slow breath of pure gratitude, no requests in it, nothing needed from anyone. Just the settled acknowledgement that something found you tonight that you did not know how to ask for. The warning came wrapped as fear and unwrapped as sight. It knew your address, it knew your letter, and it knew your readiness. Sit in the gratitude of being that precisely known. And now, release. There is one more thing in your hands, the oldest thing, and it goes tonight. The old policy itself. The document your smallest self signed in rooms you did not choose, promising to be pleasing in exchange for being safe. Feel its actual texture, soft from decades of handling. You do not need to tear it. Documents like this are not destroyed by force. They are destroyed by replacement. So let it go the way autumn lets go. Release the policy. Release the fear of empty chairs that enforced it. Release the guilt that patrolled it. Release the years it cost, the words it swallowed, the versions of you it kept in the hallway. Release the need to explain your gates to anyone alive. Release the appetite for the approval of seats that never once approved of you. And release the exhausting, lifelong project of being safe by being small. It is gone. Feel the hands, empty, warm, free. A keeper stands where a pleaser knelt. And now, stand up on the inside, all the way up, because what comes next is not asked for. It is declared. Say these inwardly with me, or aloud if you are somewhere your voice can be free, and mean them at the level where things become true. I am not the open door. I am the appointed keeper of this house. I am not the person things happen to in the dark. The lights are on in every room I own. I am not available for siphons, for bent mirrors, for one-way files, for checkpoints dressed as concern. My table is covenant territory, and covenant territory it remains. I am not behind. Everything intercepted is being restored, and everything delayed is arriving in a stronger season than it left. I am not the end of an old pattern. I am the beginning of a new line. What slept in my mothers and fathers wakes in me. What was dimmed in my childhood burns in my keeping. What comes after me inherits watchmen and towers and tables worth sitting at. And I am not alone in the tower tonight. The one who sent the warning keeps the watch beside me, and his sight has no blind side, and his door no thief has ever passed. That is who you are now. That is who you have always been under the training. And heaven has waited a long time to hear you say it like you meant it. If those declarations are yours, then file them where filings go. In the comments, 3 words, the old words of completed things. Type, "It is sealed." And let that be the last thing the pattern ever reads over your shoulder, its own eviction notice, signed in your hand, witnessed by thousands. And know this, before the ceiling settles, you did not do tonight alone, and you do not keep tomorrow alone. At this same hour, scattered across cities and time zones and quiet rooms, thousands of your kind sat where you are sitting, saw what you saw, and sealed what you sealed. An army of keepers took office tonight, beloved, unknown to each other, joined at the tower. When the discouraged day comes, and it comes for every watchman, remember the lights in the other towers. You are one wall of a very large, very old, very patient city. The city has never once fallen. It is sealed, it is done, and so it is. Now, before you go, the detail I saved. the half of the letter I have been holding since the first minute of this message. You came here tonight because of a warning about the letter J. For an hour, that letter has meant the seat, the shadow, the face. But listen to what else that letter has carried. In the very book we have walked through all night, Joseph begins with it. The boy in the pit, whose interception became an empire, whose betrayal fed nations, whose story handed you the sentence that unlocked your history tonight. And there is another name, beloved. The name above every name in these pages begins with the same letter. The one who sat at a table he had every reason to guard, who saw the seat, read it fully, and passed the bread anyway, because his assignment required a door that no interference could ultimately use. The letter you feared this morning is the letter that saved the world. And one more J was at that table, and I saved him for the very last, because he is the answer to a question you will be asked someday. That night, in the same room, at the same distance, sat John, the beloved, the one who leaned back against the chest of his Lord to ask his quiet question, who stood at the cross when the brave had scattered, who was handed the care of a mother with a dying breath, because he was the one who could be trusted with her. Two men, one letter, one table, the same nearness. One converted proximity into a handover. One converted it into the deepest friendship in the book. So when someone asks you, and someone will, whether this message taught you to fear the close ones, tell them about the two J men at the same table. Tell them nearness is a vessel, and vessels carry whatever the heart pours into them. Tell them you learn to read the pouring, not to fear the vessel. That is the whole difference between a watchman and a cynic, and you crossed it tonight. Here is what that means, and it is the last teaching of the night. No letter is cursed, no letter is safe. The alphabet does not sort people, chosen one. Alignment does. There are J names in your future that will be the greatest gifts of your remaining years. The warning was never about an initial. It was about a position, and positions are read by watchmen. And the watchman is awake now. So walk out of here free of superstition and full of sight, afraid of no name, blind to no seat, keeper of one house, forever. Let me walk you into tomorrow morning before I let you go, because the first morning matters most, and I want no seam between this hour and your waking. You will open your eyes, and for a few seconds it will feel like an ordinary day, and then tonight will surface, and a question will surface with it. Was that real, or was I just moved? Expect the question. It is not doubt. It is the understanding mind checking its warehouse and finding something too large for the shelves. Answer it with evidence, not argument. The hand goes to the chest. The tower is still there. The chair still fits. The key is still warm. Then coffee, and the creed, 5 small lines while the kettle works. My door has a keeper now. My readings reach the room. My table seats covenant only. My height is 1 touch away. My assignment gets my best hours. That is the whole liturgy of the first morning 90 seconds, and it will feel almost too small for what happened tonight. Small is how permanent things prefer to begin. A mustard seed never looks like a tree on planting day. Then the day will test, gently at first. A name on a screen, a voice in a hallway, an old reflex reaching for the old policy and finding it gone. Do not aim for perfection in week 1, keeper. Aim for noticing. Every time you notice the pattern, even 1 minute late, even 1 hour late, the noticing is a victory, because the pattern lived its whole life on not being noticed. You will be late to yourself a dozen times, and then 8 times, and then twice. And then one Tuesday, you will catch the hook mid-air, in real time, and you will smile in a hallway for a reason no one around you can see. That smile is coming. I have watched it arrive in too many lives to doubt it. And on the harder days, the ones where the counter-offer comes wrapped in crisis or sweetness or accusation, come back to this message. It will keep. Messages like this one are built as wells, not weather, beloved. The 10th listening reaches strata the first listening could not touch, because you will be a different keeper each time you return, and the well goes down as far as your seasons need it to. Bookmark it. Return on the doubting days. Stand in the tower with my voice in your ears, and let it re-witness what you sealed tonight, as many times as the road requires. There is a question I am often asked at thresholds like this one, and I will answer it before you carry it around. People ask, how do I know I will not slide back? How do I know tonight was the turning and not just another bright moment in a long line of bright moments that faded? Here is how you know. Sliding back requires forgetting, and there are two kinds of knowing that do not forget. Bone knowledge, which the practice is building into you starting tonight, and named knowledge, because a pattern with a name can never fully re-enter the dark. You hold both now. The Judas position, the open door. The words themselves are sentries, and they patrol your memory even on the days you never think of them. The way back to blindness is closed, keeper, not because you are strong, but because sight, once structural, does not undo. Before the quiet takes this message the rest of the way home, think of one person, one face that rose in your mind, not as a warning tonight, but as a wish. Someone you love, who is living inside their own fog, funding their own siphon, replaying their own conversations at their own sink, at midnight, with no words yet for any of it. You know exactly who. Send them this message quietly, no explanation, just, this found me, and I thought of you. You may never learn what it starts. Most watchmen never do. Lamps get passed in the dark, beloved, and the passing is the point. And if these messages have become bread for you, stay close to this place. There is more coming for your kind, more sight, more equipment, more of the specific mail that finds the chosen at their exact thresholds. Your door knows how to find this door again. The house is yours, the key is yours, the tower holds. Go gently now, keeper, guard the heart, for out of it flow all the issues of life. And when the next season of your story is written, and it is being written already, may it be said of this night, that was when the lights came on. It is sealed. Amen.